educated powers of authority can create a public transit agency and state, much more. So
Hello, everybody. Call the this regular city council meeting of June 2nd, 2025 to order. If you are in the council chambers and able, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Madam Clerk, may we have the roll call, please?
Law,
Present.
Obolensky,
Here.
Chess,
Here.
Sakach,
Here.
Nowak.
I think I have to say here when I request my AB 2449.
Thank you.
Okay. As the as the mayor previewed, we have a request from Mayor Nowak to participate in this meeting remotely. So pursuant to Assembly Bill 2449, Mayor Nowak, would you please state your request?
Yes, I'd like to participate under Assembly Bill 2449 due to a contagious illness. I apologize for that. I am the only one in the room. No one over 18 is here with me. And so I request to be able to participate.
Okay, thank you. So I'll bring that back to the council here for a motion to accept.
Motion to accept.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Law
Second.
and a second from Councilmember Sakach. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolensky,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sakach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Welcome to the meeting, Mayor. All right.
Thank you.
So pursuant to the provisions of Assembly Bill 2449, the public may participate in this meeting by going to www.zoom.us and clicking on the join meeting and entering the meeting ID and passcode, all of which is on the city council meeting agenda. But because I'm a nice guy, I'm going to go ahead and give that to you. 878-1391-0175. And the passcode is 809604. So item 4 is closed session reports. We don't have any closed sessions tonight, so we will briskly move on. Before, though, we get to presentations, I'd like to ask our city manager, Janet Colson, to make an adjustment or ask for an adjustment in tonight's agenda.
I would, but I'm the city attorney,
What did I call you?
city manager.
Sorry about that. Let the record state,
Yeah,
Vice Mayor was wrong.
well, that's a job I would not like to have. Thank you. I'd like to make a slight adjustment to the agenda and take consent item 9.8, which is the police department roof, the emergency item, and place it as the new 10.1 in the action items. So if the council would like to approve the agenda as revised.
Okay, so a motion? Can I have a motion to move the calendar item as requested? So moved.
Second.
And we have a first request for our first motion from Councilmember Obolensky.
And Sue second.
Oh, and Sue, Mayor Nowak with the second. Okay, thank you. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Law,
Yes.
excuse me, Obolensky,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Nowak.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Well, now we will bring it to item 5.1, which is proclamation designating the month of June as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, asexual plus Pride Month. And with that, I am going to read a proclamation from the city of Pleasant Hill. Whereas the city of Pleasant Hill has a diverse lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning, intersex, asexual plus community, and is committed to supporting visibility, dignity, and equity for all people in the community. And whereas many of the residents, students, employees, and business owners within the city of Pleasant Hill who contribute to the enrichment of our city as part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and whereas although advancements have been made with respect to equitable treatment of LGBTQIA plus persons throughout the nation and in Pleasant Hill, there remain opportunities to increase support for our LGBTQIA plus residents. And whereas cities across the United States recognize and celebrate June as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month, and those persons and supporters come together in various celebrations of pride. And whereas the city of Pleasant Hill believes it remains important to communicate its support and inclusivity and respect in our city. And it desires to recognize and commemorate June LGBTQIA plus Pride Month. And whereas the city of Pleasant Hill believes that pride is for everyone and encourages our community to unite in defense of equality, love, and freedom. And whereas flying the city's rainbow pride flag at City Hall throughout the month of June further symbolizes Pleasant Hill's official recognition of June as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month, reflects the City of Pleasant Hill's alliance, and symbolizes the city's celebration of diversity and support for the LGBTQIA plus community. Therefore, I, Zach Shess, on behalf of Sue Nowak, Mayor of the City of Pleasant Hill, and on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of June 2025 as LGBTQIA plus Pride Month in the City of Pleasant Hill and call this observance to the attention of our citizens. Okay. And with that, I am going to call the Chair of the Civic Action Commission, Barbara Thor, to the podium to receive.
Chefs,
Yes.
do you want to call Sandra Blanco from the Diversity Commission to accept the proclamation?
Yes. Oh, okay. I'm keeping a running tally of mistakes. I'm up to 3 now. Yes, so please, sorry, my apologies. Sandra Blanco, Diversity Commissioner, please come and receive this proclamation. Oh, yeah. Fine.
That 4?
Yeah, that's 4. Sandra, it's good to see you. My apologies. I'm very rusty.
It's fine. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the LGBTQIA plus community, which is close to my heart, I am deeply honored to receive this proclamation. It is a celebration of how far we've come, but also a reminder of the work that still lies ahead. It stands as a symbol of hope for those who are still finding their voice, still seeking acceptance, and still fighting for equality. This proclamation is for the child who felt different and didn't have the words to explain why. It's for those who paved the way with courage and grace, often without recognition, and it's for every person who has ever wondered if they belonged. This proclamation says, you belong. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do you want us like down there or is this? Okay.
Oh, how amazing.
All right, we're going to move on to item 5.2, recognizing the 25th Annual Civic Action Commission Summer Concert Series. First, I'm going to read a proclamation and invite the right person up here. Oh, there's a public comment. God, I am just, all right, slow down. 5, okay, 5.1. We have it's Ken. All right, we have a public comment on item 5.1 from our esteemed County Supervisor, District 4, Mr. Ken Carlson.
How about friend and neighbor?
That
That
too.
works. Thank you. And I'm sure you're thrilled with the idea that you put a timer on how long I get to talk. I'm going to do my best not
There it
to
goes.
take away too much of your evening. No, I just wanted to, one, celebrate Pride with you and express my gratitude to you all. You know, I think back, well, first off today, as I made a tour of District 4 for other flag raisings, it's really with great pride that we were the first in our district to celebrate Pride, to raise the flag. And it wasn't done simply because I was your first gay council member. It was done because of a collaborative group of leaders that came together to truly recognize how important inclusive behavior is and how that helps to create a more welcoming community and brings us all closer together. And so I'm just really grateful. And then the fact that you all were at Clayton Pride yesterday and celebrating with us just goes to show that we're reaffirming that commitment throughout the communities we live in. And I think back to the original when we first wrote that proclamation celebrating Pride, and it was, well, you just want to make this a standing deal, and we'll just raise the Pride flag every year. And we do that anyway, but the fact that we stop each and every year in June and recognize Pride Month and make it a presentation like this just reaffirms that for our public to understand and know how truly dedicated we are to having a welcoming and inclusive community. So just my gratitude and thanks for all of that, and good luck as we try to do that going forward and continue that path. So again, my gratitude and thanks.
Thank you, Ken. And also thank you for your remarks yesterday at the Clayton Pride Parade as well. Okay, can I move on to 5.2, Amanda? I'll be turning over. I might need a little, yes, okay, here we go. All right, so we're going to move to item 5.2, proclamation recognizing the 25th Annual Civic Action Commission Summer Concert Series. I will first read a proclamation.
Vice Mayor Chess, did you want to invite her to the podium while you read it?
Sure, Barbara Thor, come on down to the podium. Come on down, this time for real. Gosh, all right. Okay, so obviously I'll be reading this on behalf of Mayor Nowak here. Whereas the City of Pleasant Hill Civic Action Commission is tasked with improving the lives of residents through programs and events in the city. And whereas in the course of their duties, the commission decided that holding a community music concert would be a good way to bring families together. And whereas in summer of 2000, the commission worked to bring a volunteer band, the Floor Dogs, to perform at City Hall with no stage and no amplification, kicking off the first ever Sunset by the Lake summer concert. And whereas the success of that first concert has led to 25 years of great music in Pleasant Hill, with over 90 bands gracing the stage and performing for thousands of members of the community. And it has led to the commission expanding the concerts to include family events, nonprofit booths, and food trucks, making it a truly memorable experience for residents of all ages. And therefore, I, Zach Chess, on behalf of Sue Nowak, Mayor of the City of Pleasant Hill, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby recognize summer 2025 as the 25th anniversary of the Sunset by the Lake Summer Concert Series in the City of Pleasant Hill, and congratulate the Civic Action Commission for this milestone year. Wish them success in many years to come, and encourage residents to attend a concert in support of live music and strengthening the community. Commissioner Thor.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Chess, Mayor Nowak, and council members. Along with my fellow commissioners, Scott Roberts and Faye Donahue, I am honored to represent the Civic Action Commission in accepting this important proclamation celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Sunset by the Lake Summer Concert Series. We also recognize 25 years of past commissioners and volunteers for their hard work and dedication. Together, we have brought over 90 bands to City Hall, performing before thousands of Pleasant Hill friends and neighbors. The Civic Action Commission appreciates the support of our mayor and city council, past and present, for recognizing our community's need for affordable family fun and providing our commission encouragement as we elevate the concerts. Your support and belief in our efforts have been a driving force behind our growth. The summer concert series has grown from a volunteer band with no stage to a Pleasant Hill summer staple, with activities and attendance growing every season. Our 25th anniversary season will feature food trucks, the ever popular Family Fun Zone, and nonprofit booths. We will also celebrate with paid bands and stylish t-shirts. This proclamation is a testament to the power of perseverance, dedication, and passion. It reminds us all that with hard work and determination as a community, we can do great things. The Civic Action Commission is committed to continuing our efforts and striving for excellence in all that we do. I look forward to seeing all of you at Sunday's concert featuring the Great Space Coasters. Thank you and happy Pride to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, exactly. Okay, let's move on to item 5.3, acknowledgement of Coda Angelou as honorary mayor for the day. However, just want to let everybody know that due to the absence in the chambers of Mayor Nowak, we're going to postpone that so that the lovely family didn't have to deal with this guy. So we'll skip over 5.3 and have that rescheduled at a later date. And instead, we're going to go ahead and move to item 5.4, an update from County Supervisor District 4. Again, Mr. Ken Carlson.
Good evening, Vice Mayor Shess, council members, Mayor Nowak, who I don't see anymore, but I know she's there.
She's there.
Just real quick, I just want to give a brief update. I try to get to each council in District 4 on an annual basis, and I apologize. I think I missed a year somewhere in there. And I know, learning, thing is, we have 3 new council members. Learning this job can be a little challenging, and believe me, I feel you, and I'm now feeling like I finally have my feet under me in some respects, and I'm learning each and every day. But I do want to share some of what's been going on in the county, specific to us in District 4, but around the county in general. Of course, the district, it is Concord, Clayton, Pleasant Hill, unincorporated areas, and then, of course, Walnut Creek. In our most recent redistricting, you'll see that little pie-shaped cutout of North Concord. We did lose a small sliver of North Concord, but we picked up all of that Morgan Territory area and other things. So there were some changes post. So we're learning a lot about our open space and our conservancy programs out there in the Mount Diablo Valley and the Morgan Territory Marsh Creek Road area. Just a real quick breakdown on how it breaks up as far as the population and the percentages of our district. And of course, Concord's our biggest, but Pleasant Hill does make a big piece of my pie. A little different from what I was doing when I was here with the city council. We actually hire and fire, we hire and fire our department heads. So we've had some recent retirements. We've been going through a couple of different hirings. And one of those is our animal services director and those types of things. And of course, we do much of what you all do. We continue to serve on our own local committees, but we serve on many regional boards. And I'll kind of give you an idea of some of those boards that I'm serving on and representing the county on. With the change in leadership every year, right? Committee assignments change, even regional body assignments can change. But this year, I'm now the chair of the airport committee. I am the chair of our equity committee. I'm serving on our Los Medanos Healthcare Operations Committee. I've moved over to health services and working on the joint conference committee for medical services. We actually have two. One is our healthcare plan. The other is the actual hospital and service delivery. I'm there. I am the vice chair of our public protection committee, and I'm also chair now of the sustainability committee. With that, I'm also assigned to regional bodies, and I'm now serving on the Association of Bay Area Governments, the Bay Area Air Quality Management District, the Central Contra Costa Solid Waste Authority, Contra Costa Transportation Authority, TransPac, and the Joint Powers Authority over at the Contra Costa Center. And of course, with those, they come numerous subcommittees and other appointments. I'm actually chairing in the Air District, this Stationary Source Subcommittee, which really deals with rulemaking, enforcement, policy, and permitting of our refineries. These are the many county departments we have. It was a little overwhelming when I walked in. It took an entire year to go and visit each and every one of them and get a feel for what they're doing. Significant part of what we're doing, of course, is public safety, fire, public health, as well as the courts, public defender, DA's office, probation, and the sheriff's office. We'll talk a little bit more probably about the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice. But some of the things that have gone on in the last year and a half since I was last with you, really proud. My office came together and we were able to organize and host the first ever naturalization ceremony in our actual board chambers. That had not happened before. We had representatives from 17 different countries. We had 30 plus people take their oath of citizenship in the chambers there. And then what was really exciting is we kind of did a little host of a fair. We had people from the State Department there to help people sign up for passports. We had our register our voters there, registering people to vote. And then we had other areas where we were connecting them to county services. This year, we just on May 20th passed our balanced budget. And we, in the midst of all of that, were able to expand our healthcare. There was a gap of people who were out there that were not making enough or making too much to qualify for Medi-Cal, and then those that weren't making enough to get actually into covered California. So we created a plan for them where they could access county health services within the county. So they do have a healthcare plan, but it's strictly within Contra Costa County. Again, we created the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice. We were able to staff that up a little bit. We now have 2 co-directors, an analyst, and an administrative assistant over there. But we also allocated $8.5 million to create an African-American holistic wellness resource hub. We were clearly, as we went through the study to get us the Office of Racial Equity and Social Justice, we noticed significant disparities in the quality of life, healthcare access, healthcare services, and other things that were impacting our African-American population. So we're working towards the creation of a hub specific to giving culturally competent care to that segment of our population. Twice now, we've expanded Stand Together Contra Costa, which is the legal support run out of our public defender's office to provide immigration support. We did not know it, but in February of last year, an immigration court opened up in Concord. There's been significant, I'm sure you've heard in the news. What was interesting to me is CNN was about 6 months late when it came to we are deporting birthright citizens. So families were showing up for their court dates at our court in Concord. 4 family members seeking asylum, their birthright child was 2 or 3 years old. They were being deported that day. Their case was denied. They were going to be deported. They were given 20 minutes to make a decision. What are you going to do with your birthright citizen child? And they're not going to leave them behind. So of course they went. And this has happened multiple times right here. And then a couple months later, the next thing you know, it's somehow national news. Well, it's been going on for months. The other thing I'm really, really proud of, we led the charge to get another $750,000 into our animal services. And this is to expand care through the spay and neuter clinic, vaccinations, microchipping, basically pet retention. And that has gone through the process. And now we are partnered with Joybound and Animal Services to get out. I was recently in Concord for a vaccination chipping clinic, figured 100 people would show up. There were well over 400 people there. Some families having 5 and 6 animals with them at the same time. Of course, county budget County budget is now just over $7.1 billion. So we had 2 days of budget hearings. With that, we proposed the budget and we have presentations by almost every department. But ultimately, at our April 29th hearing, we made a few adjustments to that. We actually increased our hiring. We hired more people in our public defender's office for Stand Together Contra Costa, again, our immigrant support. We added some staffing at the sheriff's office for more data analytics when it comes to our truth form and some of the information we're asking them to provide. And we'll get to the next, the Safe Center. So as part of our budget allocation, I came with a proposal to create what's called a Safe Center, basically another hub where those not only undocumented, but those in our population who are immigrants can actually have a safe place to go and get connected to the services they need. We've modeled it after the Family Justice Center. We've seen over 15 years now, the model works. And we've got the current executive director of the Family Justice Center who is taking the lead on putting an organizational plan together that we can fund with this $5 million over 3 years. Again, it's to connect them to not only legal aid, but economic support, educational support, healthcare services. The list just goes on, as well as a community space where they can go in and share their culture and feel safe in doing so. If you have a brilliant idea of where I can find 7,500 square feet or so, we're looking for a place to house it. Another thing I'm really proud of is in my first year on the board, we allocated $5 million from Measure X funding to 3 districts, 3, 4, and 5, for youth centers. And so we were the first district to get this done. And we really just found an opportunity here with the Community Youth Center in Concord is already serving almost 2,000 kids across the county. So we were able to contribute $5 million to them from our Measure X funds for capital. And what this allowed them to do was they were given the old Big C Athletic Club, 75,000 square feet. They were given that venue between our $5 million. They got, I believe it was $2 million from the city of Concord and 1.5 from the state, which met their needs to rehabilitate and redo the Big C Athletic Club. So they will be in there in September. And they will now, and our only ask was you double the population. So we anticipate serving upwards of 4,000 kids through the youth center. And not only is it sports activities, they have cheerleading, dance, they have wrestling, boxing, jujitsu, taekwondo. It goes on. I can't even remember everything they do. But then they have educational tutoring support and mentoring programs. We did have specific goals with the Measure X funds. And so we did put out also 1.2 million on an annual basis in programming funds. And they were just awarded, I don't know the dollar figure, but they put in for 3 out of the 4 requests that we put out, RFPs that we put out. They've qualified for 3 of those, and they'll be getting operational dollars to expand their program and meet our specific request. A3 continues to grow. For those who don't know, A3 is the Anywhere, Anytime, Anyone program. We are constructing a facility for that in Concord off of Oak Grove Road, and we're very nearing completion of that. I know we've all, in the development world and our city projects and other things, PG&E seems to be a little bit of our holdup on this. But again, calls continue to grow and come in. We've staffed up a significant number, but we're getting up to 500 calls a week. And these are to prevent the intervention of having law enforcement respond to those that are needing behavioral health or in crisis, having a behavioral health issue. Just a real quick idea of who's calling it in. And again, these calls can go multiple different directions. It can come in off of 211, 988, 911. So law enforcement, when they deem it doesn't require a police response immediately, they're sending those calls over. But when you look at it, a significant number are coming in from those individuals that are experiencing crisis or have a need. And we continue to staff this up. We haven't even met what we anticipated our staffing levels to be. Again, there'll be a wellness clinic once we get the campus open. It will be the call center. It will be a wellness clinic. There'll be peer support. Again, we're gonna have this open by September if PG&E comes along for the ride. Finally, that's all I've got for you tonight. Again, I hope you all have my number and know how to reach me. I'm here to serve you and answer any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Supervisor Carlson. I would ask, call on my colleagues here at the dais, if they have any questions of the supervisor.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment. I do want to thank you for all the work that you're doing for our county. And I remember when I was running my election, you were always readily available to answer any questions as well, even as of today. And your coffee breaks has actually inspired me to also continue to do outreach within my community and hear from the people to understand what their needs are and their concerns. And I appreciate you touching in all aspects of the area, not just outreach for youth, but also healthcare, even animal services. You are caring for our entire county. So I really appreciate all the work that you're doing, and your leadership emulates down to where I'm trying to reach those goals of continuing to have coffee breaks to meet with people to understand what they need and how we can help them in so many ways. And so with the resources that you've provided here, I will continue to try and provide that information to them so that they know where to go in crisis or in need.
Yeah, and again, I'm a big, there are a couple of things that are high on my list, right? I don't, and in no particular order, but animal services is clearly, when I first came into office, we were getting a lot of pushback. And coming out of law enforcement, you see, it's a hard job, right? You see the worst, and then you might get beat up or pushed around by the public. Animal services, the same thing. I mean, nobody goes into animal services with the intention of, I just want to euthanize animals, right? And so you have a dedicated team of individuals. They were getting just beat up. And so that's kind of one of my pet projects. The other is youth. Anything we can do to serve our youth and connect our youth, and anything you can do to drive people to the community youth center. It's an amazing opportunity. Everywhere I went, and I've known about it through my work in Concord over the years, but every time I turn around and you mention the youth center, somebody will go, oh, my 2 kids went there. We just were told probably a month ago that in August, one of our local high schoolers out of the youth center, and I don't remember the style of wrestling, but basically beat out college students and will be representing the United States and Bulgaria in the world tournament. So, I mean, there's just some opportunity there. And there is a small fee, but it's a sliding scale. And that was one thing we really pushed for was, look, not everybody can afford, $10, $20, $30 a month. So you got to make it accessible to everybody, and they're committed. So it's a great organization, uplifting our youth. And if they can serve 4,000 of our youth, pretty monumental task.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Any other? Councilmember Valinsky.
Hi, Ken.
Hi.
It's good to see you. Like we've talked before, my kids went to CYC. My son did boxing there. My daughter did gymnastics. They did soccer, wrestling. It is an amazing program. And just to see some of the kids that come out, I mean, I know the boxing program really well. They've got some really good Golden Gloves fighters. So I'm glad to see that expanding. It's going to really help the immigrant community as well. So thank you for spearheading this for sure. One of the things I did want to ask you about, and so in District 2, our neighbors have been pretty happy about a potential facility getting rehabbed and being put to use again over near Sherman Acres. Is that going to be coming on the docket here pretty quickly?
Yeah, I haven't been fully briefed on it yet. It's actually sitting on my desk. But yes, the old Sherman House, back in the day, it was where officers would take a runaway they couldn't find a parent for, or back in those days, we even took kids to juvenile hall. So it was a placement center for those that had run away. But yes, under Prop 1, there was grant funding for physical facilities, and we did receive funding for that project. And like I say, I'm not 100% sure how it's all going to pan out yet. And I think it was a little bit of a surprise to the city of Pleasant Hill that maybe we didn't do our due diligence and coming and knocking on the door and having more in-depth conversations about it. So I'll get all the details and then come back and meet up with, Ethan and give him a rundown so he can get the information to you. But we'll also be putting information out on my newsletter. But yes, we did get Proposition 1 money, which will help us fund. And actually, we had 3 projects out of that we got funding for to the tune of about 90 million. I'm looking for Leah. About 90 million.
Yeah.
For 3 separate projects across the county. And again, this is all part of our mental health or our behavioral health plan. One thing I didn't mention is under Prop 1, thank you. I had been on the Mental Health Commission up until this year. And then this year, under Prop 1, we had to merge and recreate our Mental Health Commission, which is a citizen advisory body that advises on our behavioral health programs. But we have to merge our Alcohol and Other Drugs Commission and board into the Mental Health Commission. So we've basically dissolved those 2 and brought them together in one behavioral health commission. And they have a huge task, and I am on that. But it's in evaluating and reviewing all of our behavioral health programs, which includes substance abuse and use, into and approving that, looking at every dollar spent on it, making recommendations on it. It's a really daunting task but it's all required under Prop 1.
It's just, but it's very good that, in my conversations with local businesses and residents throughout the Contra Costa Boulevard corridor, once they heard about it and then they asked me about it and I explained, hey, this is going to be rehabbing a facility. Right now, there's calls to PD out there for vagrants who are in and around the area. So actually bringing this facility back up and running again is not just good for the community. It's also going to help with some of our local folks that are having issues and having behavioral problems. So I'm really happy to see that. And I really haven't had anybody talk negatively. So I'm just glad that we're getting that going in that neighborhood because it's really needed. That's the only question I wanted to pose to you, Ken. You are an inspiration to us all. I don't know where you get the energy from. I'm like wondering if there's like a little Energizer battery on the back of you somewhere, but you just keep moving and keep doing good things. So thank you for all you do.
Thank you. And I'll just share, I have an amazing group of staff that are just so supportive that really they're the ones wearing their shoes out as well. It's, I feel a little guilt sometimes because like Leah's here with me tonight, you put in an 8-hour day and the next thing you know, the supervisor's off and running into the evening and they're right there backing me up each and every day. And I really couldn't do it without that. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Councilmember Sakach.
Yes. Thank you, Ken. It was great to see you yesterday at the Clayton Pride Parade. Yeah, I just had a question about you talked about expanding the Stand Together service, and I teach immigrants, and there's a lot of fear of even going, even if they have a visa in this country, going to their immigration dates in court. Is this a group that could help them sort of decide, is it safe to take that course or not?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fear around going to immigration court, even if you are on the path towards citizenship, you have a visa. So I'm wondering if the Stand Together group is a group that sort of helps immigrants decide to go or not to go, or do you know what I'm saying?
Yes. I'll look at Janet just for fun, but no attorney is going to tell you to miss your court date. But there's huge fear and it grows each and every day. The new tactic from our government in Washington is that, and I'll say this somewhat lightheartedly in the sense of, I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but it's possible there might be conversations between the attorneys representing the government and the immigration enforcement officers, because what is happening is, and this is right here in our court, ICE is there. And the attorneys for the government are going in and requesting dismissals of the asylum case. And with an immediate dismissal, then you are therefore deportable. And so, yeah, before that, and my staff was at the immigration court just 2 weeks ago, And it's dropped to about a 20% show up rate.
Mm.
So 80% of those folks that have court that day are failing to appear. Those that did go to court and go through the process, their next court date is in 2028. So they now, for the next 2.5 to 3 years, get to wonder each and every day, looking over their shoulder, is today the day? Because it's still unpredictable and unknown what's going to come. Again, like I say, it's just happening each and every day. So I don't even know that anybody's going to show up to immigration court now that this is happening. So yes. And again, we just Stand Together is doing their very best to teach people what their rights are, what they can and cannot do, what they shouldn't do. And then they're going into court and they're making the trek all the way to San Francisco if need be to represent their clients.
Thank you.
Okay, Mayor Nowak, any questions? She's behind the blue.
No, I don't have any questions. I sit on a lot of things with Ken, so we get our chances to catch up at either MTCA bag or Transpac or CCTA. So yeah, I have no questions, but thank you, Ken, as always.
No, it's a pleasure. We make jokes because some of those bodies haven't figured out that they need to separate us. We probably should be on opposite ends of the dais based on
That's not the first time
long
I've
history of working together.
Yeah, not the first time I've heard that. I don't really have any questions for you, but I would just say thank you. And I would encourage people in the chambers, as well as people who are listening to this, whether live or recorded, to follow your social media outlets and get the information, because a meeting like this, I mean, it's almost like every citizen in Pleasant Hill should listen to this and hear all the great things that are happening, not only that affect our residents, but the surrounding communities. So I think I encourage people to follow you on social media and your great staff putting in all that work on that as well. So thank you for being here tonight. It's good to see you as always. And I don't know, I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow or something.
We're
driving down the street or
We're
something.
in a small town. So
Yeah.
Again, just thank you to all of you for your work, your dedication, and your cooperation. Working together is still a dream. There are days where I wake up and I miss being up there with y'all. But, there are some things that are going on out there that are just truly amazing, and we're making, it's challenging, right? But you get up and you go to work, and we're going to make things happen. So, again, thank you for your work.
Yep, thank you. Okay, moving on to item 5.5. We have a presentation on Home Match, which is a front porch community service. I'd like to invite Lorna Van Akkeren, Commission on Aging Vice Chair, to introduce Logan Robertson, Home Match Contra Costa Director. Hello.
Hello, thank you. Mayor, Vice Mayor, and City Council members. Lorna Van Akkeren, I am your Vice Chair for the Pleasant Hill Commission on Aging, and I'm also the Pleasant Hill appointee for the Contra Costa Advisory Council on Aging, where I serve as Vice Chair. A little bit of background before our presentation. Back in November, the Advisory Council on Aging presented a presentation to the City Council called No Place to Call Home, and it was very well received by the council. And one of the options in our presentation was about Home Match. And we were asked to, as a commission, explore that. And if we thought it was valid, to bring it back to the commission, to the City Council. With that, tonight, I'm going to invite my colleague Logan Robertson up to present Home Match. It's everyone's goal, I think, to age in place. At least 90% of us, according to the AARP, want to age in place. We want to keep our people safe, aging with dignity and integrity. And Home Match is another option that we can present to our community for ways for people to remain living in their homes safely and get additional financial income. So with that, I'm going to invite Logan up to present. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to try my best to use this clicker. So as she mentioned, my name is Logan. I'm the director here for Home Match of Contra Costa County. Home Match does serve 4 counties. We are the only home sharing program in the state of California that serves more than 1 county. We are in Alameda, San Francisco, and Marin, as well as Contra Costa. So we are part of Front Porch in the Community Services Division. Front Porch, for those of you who have not heard about it, is a very large 50-plus year nonprofit that has 19 market rate retirement communities throughout the state of California, as well as 32 affordable housing communities. Community Services Division addresses many issues facing older adults. Nutrition is covered with our program Market Day, which brings wholesale fruit and vegetables to housing communities. The social connection programs, Well Connected Espanol, those are essentially virtual senior centers. They are nationwide. So you can join from the comfort of your home, via phone or online. They will send you any materials you could possibly need, and they have programming 365 days a year. Social Call also addresses social connection with a one-on-one call. About once a week, you get a friendly visitor call and make a really nice connection there, again, nationwide. Creative Spark and Ruth's Table are our creative engagement programs. Ruth's Table is in the Mission District in San Francisco, and it is an art gallery. And then we have housing, which is Home Match, which is what I'm here to really talk about tonight. So Home Match is home sharing. Let's say someone has a room in their home. They've got the space, but they're going to lose their home because they don't have the income. They've recently become a widow. They've become disabled, whatever the issue may be. They need economic support. So a lot of times people contact us because they are looking for that economic support. Other times it's the social support. So are they looking for a companion? Do they need someone to do a task exchange around the home, which is where they can do, take out the garbage, make a meal once a week, provide companionship in exchange for a reduction in that rent cost. I will say Home Match is a market rate program. We do not set the rent prices, the homeowners do. So based on whatever reason they're coming to the program, if it's economic, they're gonna want as much as they can get, right? If it's social, I just had a $700 room go in downtown Walnut Creek because he just wanted to help someone out and wanted that social companionship. So we do see those as well. So why home sharing? Well, as we all know, we just can't build enough affordable housing, especially for our seniors. Home Match does serve anyone 18 and above, but the majority of our individuals are seniors. Here in Contra Costa County, my average home provider or an individual with a room available is a woman in her 70s, although my oldest was a 95-year-old gentleman and my youngest is in his 30s. Same with home seekers, those looking for rooms, about a woman in her 60s is what we're seeing. But again, students all the way up to seniors who have lost housing due to pricing. Cost burden to older adults. 47% of Bay Area residents over the age of 65 are cost burdened, spending over 30% of their income on rent. Home Match does have a 50% rent to income ratio. So if they're only getting Social Security, $1,300 a month, they cannot pay more than $1,250 a month towards rent. So we want to put people in situations where they are not going to become cost burdened. They are going to, be set up for long-term stabilized housing. And then social isolation, home sharing provides that social connection and builds that community. So oftentimes it's people already living in the community that maybe losing housing and wants to stay in their community. And what better way to do that than to rent a room from someone that might already live in your neighborhood or in the area that you're used to, where your community is, where your church is, where your doctors are, things like that. So what is our process? So we get referrals from all sorts of areas. You will see me out at tabling events, giving presentations such as these, social workers, doctors, people look us up online, ads on KQED most recently. So we get referrals from everywhere. 211 will tell you that we are a low-income housing program that will help you pay your rent and your bills. That is not true. So just a little reminder there. So we get a call. If it's a homeowner, we're going to go send them an application, or we're going to take it out to them. We're going to go through that application with them, do a home visit. We're going to make sure that this room is an actual room. I've visited sun porches. I've visited dining rooms. It has to be a room with 4 walls. We are shared housing, so there can't be anyone living in the shared common areas. So it has to be at least a 2-bedroom, right? We're then running a background check on all participants. So both homeowners or master tenants, because we do help master tenants who have an apartment, might have an extra room, maybe they're in a rent-controlled unit, can rent out that extra room. We're running background checks on both ends. Once a home provider passes a background check, we'll begin to do all of the marketing for their room. So online housing boards, flyers, just anywhere we can, we're putting this room out there. We have an available rooms catalog that we send out to our community partners. They'll put it in their newsletters, things like that, lets you know what's available at any time. And then we match based on lifestyle and communication preferences. Home Match does not make placements, we make introductions. So if I get a home seeker who has followed essentially the same process with the application and intake instead of a home visit, so we're meeting them, we're interviewing them, we're verifying their income. 3 months, 3 complete recent months of pay stubs, Social Security benefit award letters, things like that. However, they're getting income, family support forms. And then we're basing those introductions on lifestyle and communication preferences and introducing them. They can meet for as long as they want. I had a match that met every Tuesday consecutively for about 2 months and had lunch together. And then they were like, okay, let's do this. And I've had people that meet them once and decide this is the person I want to move into my home. So we see it go both ways. We encourage everyone, sit down, have a meal with them. Are they ordering a little too much wine, but they said they don't drink? You know, feel them out a little bit. And that's on our applications. Will you live with someone that drinks or not? Will you have a smoker, marijuana, vaping, cigarettes, all of it? If they decide to move forward, we have this great 28-page document that we'll come to the house and do with them. It is a living together agreement. The first section of that is going to be anything you can think of that might come up in the first few months of living together. We're going to get it out of the way right now so that you're not mad when they use your ketchup, right? Because that's a thing. So can we share condiments? Can we not? What's the temperature typically set at? Who's cleaning? When do I run the dishwasher? Can I leave my bedroom window open if I'm not home? We really get down to the nitty gritty and people are like, ooh, that was actually really helpful. I wouldn't have thought to ask. So it really just gets those expectations on the table, has that conversation before we're moving in. The second half of that document is your typical lease agreement. Most people want to do a month-to-month lease, although I do have a few homes that have done termed leases, 6 months, a year. It's really up to them. Home Match then provides ongoing support for the entire duration of the match. So I have matches that are going on 4 years. I'm calling them every 3 months. I have matches that call me twice a week just because they like to fill me in. I usually direct them towards social call, right? So we do that ongoing support. We have in-house mediation services should it come to that, not in Contra Costa County. And we are there to support them for anything. We get called, you know, oh, this is seeming a little funky. Should I be, you know, worried about this? Or they didn't pay rent. Do we need to reevaluate the lease agreement, the house rules, that stuff? So we're there for them for that duration of the match and then helping them move on to their next, you know, housing option once that time comes. So who is a successful home match participant? You know, I would say this slide is kind of puts people in a box. You know, I think anyone can be successful at home sharing. I've interviewed people that say, you know, I've never wanted to rent a room, but we're in that type of time where that's all I can do. and things change. So, someone that communicates well, because there's going to be issues, there's going to be differences. You guys are coming together. Most of the time, you're both older adults, maybe a little stuck in your ways, trying to meld and, get yourself into one house. So adaptability is huge. One thing with our task exchange that I mentioned earlier, no caregiving. So 0 daily living skills, no medication disbursement. If your housemate falls, be a good human, help them up. Don't say, sorry, no caregiving. Home Match said no. Help them up, be a nice housemate. But essentially, we're not doing any task exchanges where they say, okay, I need you to give me my meds. I need you to bathe me, lift me, things like that. We do get a lot of calls about that. The other thing is that unfortunately, we can't serve anyone that is showing signs of any sort of memory issues. So Alzheimer's, dementia, they've got to be cognizant of wanting someone in their house every morning when they wake up and knowing that they're there. Like I mentioned, we do serve 4 counties here in Contra Costa County. I recently opened up at the nearish end of last year to West County. I had strictly been serving Central County for about 2 years. Previous to that, I was in East County, but capacity, I shrunk a little bit, and then opened up to West County where we've seen a huge interest as well. Here in Pleasant Hill specifically, I have 4 ongoing matches and 2 rooms available, specifically just in this city. In Home Match Contra Costa right now, we are seeing the most rooms that I've seen in my 3 years doing this. So I have 15 rooms right now between Central and West County, ranging from 800 to 1,400. Some with private baths, some without, things like that. And I'm happy to take any questions.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Yeah.
I'm going to start. Do you have any questions? I'll start with you this time.
Sure. Yeah. Is there a cost for this service?
Very good question. We are a completely free service. So no one pays for background checks. We do all of the marketing, all of the matching. Everything is completely free. We don't collect money from anyone. They'll try. Can I give you my, no, I don't want your deposit. I don't want your rent. Yeah, we are completely free. Yeah.
And I just have one more question.
Yeah.
I know you said you don't take clients with memory issues, but of course, if you're dealing with people of a certain
Adults.
age, over time that can occur. So
Does.
what do you do when that happens?
Yeah. So if we have a match, there are things that are inevitable working with older adults. In the past year, I've had 4 of my homeowners pass away. And for various reasons. Memory has been one of those reasons. If they're in a current stable match, if they want to stay there, we're not the people coming in saying, you got to leave. This is not, it's strictly up to them and what their comfort level is. They've been introduced when that memory issue wasn't an issue. And they've got stabilized housing. So we're at no time telling people you have to leave. We're not giving any sort of legal advice at any time. So how do I write a 30-day notice? Google, ChatGPT. We're not even telling them how to do that. So we just let them be if that's what they want. If a seeker, a tenant comes to me and says, hey, I'm just not feeling like this is good, or they're going into, a care facility, what have you, we can definitely try to rematch them, give them other resources if they don't want to go through Home Match. On a case-by-case basis, we can provide emergency housing assistance. If they've got to get out. If a homeowner passes, they're immediately given a 30-day notice from that last stay at the residence, because for our program, the homeowner has to live in the home. In some instances, the family, the adult children will say, no, we love them, they can stay. Okay, but their lease with Home Match, with us providing that ongoing support, becomes invalid on that 30th day. But essentially, they can just stay there if they're okay with those memory issues once they're stably housed.
Any other questions? Councilmember Law?
Just to follow up on Councilmember Shotgott's question about the cost. If there's no cost for the services, how is your program funded?
Good question. So each county is funded differently. In this county, I have been completely unfunded other than support from Front Porch since 2017 when we opened here in Contra Costa County. Starting in July, we will be getting Measure X capacity building funds for marketing. And because of that, we were able to reallocate some things. So I've been the only staff member for almost 3 years, which is why not East County anymore. And I recently hired a program manager. So we have some funds coming in for Measure X now. And hopefully we can get more funds, but right now, Home Match Contra Costa is essentially all Front Porch funding. We get a very small amount, like $15,000 from Wells Fargo. San Francisco, Mayor's Office of Homelessness and Housing gives them hundreds of thousands of dollars. Marin County is funded a lot by the cities that they serve. City of Mill Valley gives them a lot of money, things like that. They have rent subsidies there too that the cities that they serve are supporting. Same with Alameda, they had the Cal Home Grant, things like that.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
And so you also mentioned virtual senior centers, like you can actually call on and virtually talk to somebody. Are there different languages that are available to you? And then what types of services are a part of the virtual senior centers?
Yeah, so Well Connected and Well Connected Espanol. So they have English and Spanish right now. I believe they're trying to expand that. And they have programming 365 days a year. It's also a free program. So they can send them and they have it for the blind as well. So all the materials are in Braille, they mail them to them. So, I mean, they have things from armchair travel. If you have something you like to talk about, they'll give you a spot in a day and they'll say, come tell your story. So it's really volunteer based. And they just have, Pet Tales. Pet Tales is run by a woman who has been with Well Connected for 15 years volunteering and now has a home match person in her home. So those are the kind of things that they do. They do virtual museum visits, grief groups, just let's play bingo or anything. I mean, it's a book of all of their classes on different days. Yeah.
So it's a wide range of activities that anybody
huge
can
range.
call in if they have mobility issues.
Yep, they
can't
can
get to
call,
certain
they can
places.
get online, however they want to do it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
It sounds like a great program.
It's an amazing program, yeah.
I did have one more question about what happens if there's a breach in the contract or the agreement?
Yeah, so a lot of times, let's say they're not paying rent. Essentially, we will tell the homeowner, let's go out, do a living together review. What's going on? What's the issue? Are you unable to pay rent because you've had a loss in job, a loss in income? Let's just talk about that. We're not providing any sort of legal advice, but we are pointing that homeowner in the direction of here, this resource can help you, whether it be legal aid, what have you. A lot of times, because they are month-to-month leases, homeowners are very quick at saying, okay, 30-day notice. They've not paid rent, 30-day notice. I don't see that a lot here in this county, but it does happen. Breaches in contract, I had a young guy smoke marijuana in the room. They gave him a 3-second notice, but for that, they could have given him a 3-day notice for that type of breach in the contract. But really, we're just going out, talking to them hey, what's going on? Trying to come to some sort of agreement, maybe bringing in mediation, and pointing them to the resources for legal if it gets to that.
Yeah, I only mentioned about the breaching contract because it's like a 30-day lease, and if something were to happen, then the other person would be pretty much having no place to go to at that point in time. And does your services then provide them a space or transitional housing at that point in time, or find another match that would be possible for them?
Yeah, so I mean, if someone's not paying rent on a regular basis, we're likely not going to rematch them.
But let's just say you took the catch up.
Yeah,
Like you
right.
mentioned.
People get really mad about their condiments, okay, and their food. It's a thing. So let's say that was the issue. I mean, we're definitely trying to go in and settle that, right? But let's say that's why they wanted them gone, and they gave a 30-day notice, and that person's like, I would love to leave because I hate it here, but I don't have the deposit money for my next place. I know where I can go, but I don't have the deposit. Home Match can help on a case-by-case basis with, emergency housing funds. There's not a lot of that money available. It's not something that we promote, although I did just tell everyone here. So maybe it is, but it's really on very case-by-case basis. But most of the time we're connecting them to Hope Solutions or Shelter Inc. or someone that can help with that kind of thing, and getting them into their next spot. Helping them, I've moved a few couches, we're doing room readiness. So getting the room ready both before the tenant moves in and then moving them out, helping them move their stuff if they need. And we're trying to provide any support we can. And if we can't, directing them to the correct resources.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Yeah. Councilmember Obolinski.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Let's keep it brief. Really amazing. I didn't know about this program. That's what I love about sitting up here sometimes. I get to learn all these new stuff. And as you were talking, the funny thing is I'm going to send somebody to you because we have a lady in a neighborhood that lost her home because of reverse mortgage.
Mhm.
And she's right now staying with friends. And so I'm going to go right to her and give her your phone number and that email address to contact.
I've heard that. She'll call and say, he referred me, but I'm
Yeah.
already in your system.
Maybe.
Sometimes that happens.
Sometimes that
but
happens.
Sometimes it doesn't. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just really thankful that you guys have this service. But I do have one question.
Yeah.
Do you have the capability to match languages, match culture? Like if someone speaks only one predominant language as in the immigrant community, you can do that?
Yeah. So I am fluent in Spanish, so I deal with all of our Spanish language stuff for all 4 counties. So if there is a match that is only, monolingual Spanish and I have a room that is Spanish speaking, I'm going to try to introduce them to there if their other preferences match. So we don't base matches on any discriminatory factors. So like race, age, they
Sure.
can dictate gender. That's about it.
Mhm.
But we keep in mind those things, like if they are a certain language, and a lot of times it's the kids that are helping them fill out that application or a case manager or something. And we're really talking about, well, is it okay for you? If you're the type of person that I'm just renting this room, I don't really want to talk to them or be their friend. Maybe the language barrier isn't such a big issue for you. For those living together agreements, we're definitely calling in translation services.
So that's the other question I was going to ask, is translation, sir, because I know several people that wouldn't even know where to begin with this in English, in the English language. So, okay, that's,
So we have a Chinese, Mandarin, Cantonese speaker in the San Francisco office that does all of our, I had a Cantonese speaker in downtown Walnut Creek, had a room for rent. She was here for that match the entire way through, providing that ongoing support, even though she's with San Francisco. So we definitely have those language capabilities. And if not, we call in the translators.
perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Mayor Nowak, do you have any questions?
Do you have any idea, Logan, on the amount of home matches throughout the 4 counties, what those total numbers are?
Yeah, so as of the end of March, so April 1st was our new fiscal year, we hit our 500th match.
Wow.
So we are
Fantastic.
well above 500 at this point, because I've had like 6 since then. So, and then other counties. So, yeah, we're above 500. And we started in Marin in 2012.
That's great. Thank you. Fantastic.
You're welcome. And that's just since the database. So who knows when we were paper, could be more.
Okay, great. I just had a couple quick questions. First of all, and I think you kind of answered this, but just to be clear, because you started talking about Shelter Inc. and all that.
Mhm.
Oh, and financing on a case by case. So I would imagine for you guys, do you provide not obviously financing, but do you kind of may tell people kind of where to go perhaps to get some financial advice or help or something? Okay.
Yeah, so we make those referrals. If someone calls us and says, I only make $1,000 a month, or I just can't afford to deposit, because 211 will send them to us if they just ask for housing.
Yeah.
So we're referring out and making those connections.
Okay.
Oftentimes it's with someone that I might already know and have that connection with and saying, hey, can you reach out to this person? So we're not just saying, nope, sorry, One thing I will say about our program and what I pride myself on is people say, you guys actually pick up the phone and call back. Like, wow. So we're definitely trying to help anyone we can in any way we can, even if we can't provide that support. So connecting them out.
Great. Thank you. And then I was going to ask about outreach, but it sounds like you're starting to get some funding for that outreach so that
Yeah. So
people can learn more about this, because this is probably one of the best kept secrets.
yeah. So
around here.
Measure X is specifically for West County. Since we did just open up, it was to build capacity in West County. So we'll be doing specific things with the outreach in West County. Here in Central County, it's really just doing the footwork, going to any events we can, doing presentations like this, sitting at senior centers. I sit at the Pleasant Hill Senior Center once a week.
Okay.
We have a great relationship, and it's a really good way for seniors just to see us. They walk in and home match is right there. So that's been a huge referral source.
Super.
Yeah.
Any last minute questions? Seeing none? Okay.
Thank
Logan,
you.
thank you for
I'm going
coming
to
in.
leave some brochures in the back for people, as well as my business cards if anyone wants them.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6 tonight on the agenda, which is the city manager comments. And I will invite Ethan Bindernagel, our city manager, not Janet Colson, with the city manager comments.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Schuss. Good evening, council members, including remotely Mayor Nowak. I have 3 quick announcements this evening. I'll start first with the Commission on Aging, who will be hosting a presentation entitled Understanding Alzheimer's, Signs, Support, and Strategies here at City Hall next Monday, June 9th at 10 a.m. Again, here at City Hall. If you'd like more information about this presentation, and in order to pre-register for this free event and a workshop, the deadline is this Friday. However, please visit the city's website, phillca.gov/COA events. That's again, phillca.gov/COA events. Secondly, I want to put on folks' radar, if they were not already aware, that the County Public Works Department did begin some sinkhole repair work near the intersection of southbound Taylor Boulevard at Green Hills Drive. They began last Tuesday, May 27th. That necessary road work, it does occur daily, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., weather permitting. It is projected to conclude this Friday, June 6th. Message boards are posted to advise drivers of the scheduled work, and traffic control will be used throughout the work area. Drivers should expect anywhere from 5 to 15-minute delays during those work hours. And you can learn more about this project at the following website, cccpublicworks.org. And lastly, I want to announce a couple of upcoming summer events here in this month of June as we celebrate Pride. There are 2 celebrations later on that I wanted to highlight. The first is the Diversity Commission's 3rd annual Juneteenth celebration in partnership with Off the Grid. Juneteenth, also known as Freedom Day, celebrates the end of slavery in our nation. And this year's, the city's 3rd celebration will be held on June 19th. That's Thursday, June 19th. At City Hall here from 5 to 9 p.m. It will include a variety of entertainment options, including a concert by the Joint Chiefs Band. And then a week later on Thursday, June 26th, again in partnership with Off the Grid, the Diversity Commission is going to invite the community to City Hall as we celebrate Pride and the LGBTQIA+ community here in Pleasant Hill. For more details about these events and others, you can always find more about the ongoing summer concert series as well. You can follow the city on social media, or you can visit the city's website, again, phillca.gov. That concludes my comments. Happy to yield to any questions.
I ask my colleagues here if we have any questions of the city manager. I see the mayor is shaking her head no. Any questions? Okay. Seeing none. Thank you, Ethan. Okay, we'll start on item 7.1, reports from council members on meetings or conferences attended at city expense. Did we have any of those during this period? Okay, seeing none, I will move to announcements from council members, and I will start with Council Member Law.
Thank you. So just a couple announcements. We haven't met for a while. I think it's been about 2 or 3 weeks now. But I was interviewed by 5th graders at Sequoia Elementary School for their International Baccalaureate project, which was on United Nations Sustainable Project. Olivia Ashworth, Ava Jiske, hopefully I'm not butchering your last names, and Morgan Sabalo focused their topic on inequities, specifically on racism, sexism, and discrimination against refugees. The students did an amazing job on the research of their topic, and we shared a lot of stories together. I also had a really good time just acknowledging the fact that they had to complete this project as part of their fifth grade. Like, I don't know if I could have done that at fifth grade at this point, but they did an amazing job and presented the information. I also attended Hidden Valley Elementary School end of year party for their TK class. And there are apparently lots of families that are from Pleasant Hill that are at Hidden Valley as well. And so what I tried to do was try and get Rolling Reader from our Pleasant Hill Library to bring some resources there. And, you know, hopefully we'll get the ball rolling because they had budget constraints this year. So there were cuts. And so the TK and kindergarten students weren't able to attend the library time. So hopefully we got that rolling for next year because we are at the end of the school year now. And this past weekend, I attended Pride, Clayton Pride Parade with Councilmember Shotgots and Vice Mayor Chess. And it was a beautiful day. We were handing out these fans for everyone because it was hot, and lots of bracelets as well. And I also attended the Pleasant Hill Night Market for the second time last Friday. And the band Vinyl was there. They were really good. And I tried Fungi Foods. I don't know if you guys ever tried that before. The vendor makes basically food off mushrooms. And I had this lion's mane crab cake. And I have to tell you, it tastes like crab cake and it was really amazing. I'm digressing a little bit, but I can't forget about it. And now I want to go back to the night market. But, you know, I also wanted to end on a note where I had a chance to speak to the operator, and he's allocating resources for nonprofit organizations. And I wish I had mentioned that to Logan earlier, but hopefully she'll watch this recording after, or I can send her an email too. But the operator, Sunny Panu, who is a resident of Pleasant Hill, is offering nonprofit organizations who are interested to reach out to him on his Instagram page called Pleasant Hill Night Market. So if you go on Instagram, look for Pleasant Hill Night Market and message him, and you may be able to have your nonprofit organization there to bring more resources to our community. And I'll end with that. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Councilmember Obolinski.
Thank you. So yeah, unfortunately, I would have loved to gone to Pride with all of you, but I had to attend a wedding as a best man. And believe me, it was a lot of work. I would have rather been at Pride. That would have been more fun.
We won't tell your friend that.
Although he's
I told him that.
Okay.
He made me work. He made me work a lot. So yeah, it's been a few weeks. So I did go to the chamber hosted a great mixer for DVC's international students. It was great to see. And I even got to see Jeremy speak some French. He did a great job. There was a group of French students that were there, and we had some wine, we had some snacks. Liz was there as well, and it was a great attended event. Also at DVC, I got the opportunity to represent the city for the retirement of Susan Lamb. And I can tell you it was really hard for me not to cry because this woman was just the outpouring of comments from the community was just amazing. So she's definitely going to be missed. She's done a lot of amazing work there. I also went to the Contra Costa Fire Academy graduation with our local fire commissioner, Don Mayo, and went to the concert in the park, which I'm sure a lot of us did as well. The inaugural concert in the park. It was so packed, and it was a great, well-attended event. And then the last thing is I attended our impromptu Memorial Day event at the Soldiers Monument. It was really moving with folks from all levels of government there to honor our veterans, from Mark DeSaulnier on down to us here at the city level. And I also joined the Government Affairs Committee, where we heard from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce about the issues that affect our local business and economy. The main takeaway I got from them is they're in a wait and see pattern right now because of how everything's kind of up in the air. They don't really have any statement on what their direction, their recommendation is going to be, except for tariffs are bad. It's helping it's hurting businesses. They're not able to plan. They're not able to purchase. And outside of that, there really wasn't much else except for just giving us more information from Washington. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Sakach.
Well, first, our city manager mentioned it, but I really want to thank the Diversity Commission and Off the Grid Partners for embracing the idea of supporting Pleasant Hill's first Pride celebration. Particularly want to thank Staff Liaison Lyon Connor and Lloyd Sheen and Liz Noonan, who's really been enthusiastic about doing this. And I'm excited. Liz is here. PFLAG will be at our event. The County Pride Committee will be there. And a number of LGBTQ affirming faith organizations will be there, as well as a LGBTQ performer and a kids area. And also wanted to thank Council Member Oblinski and Chamber President Jeremy Carlson for helping me sort of brainstorm about organizations that we could invite. Let's see. Oh, I went to a lot of things. It's been a month. A lot of end of year celebrations, which I love to do as a teacher. With the Lions Club, I served breakfast for the 5th grade sleepover at Gregory Gardens, a great group of kids. I handed out Lions Club scholarships at College Park. And I went to Kalud's childcare graduation, which is just a great community childcare program in Gregory Gardens. I also had the privilege of attending Youth Home's 60th anniversary gala. Youth Homes is a great organization that has a thrift store here in Pleasant Hill. They help former and current foster youth with complex behavioral challenges and trauma, and they build supportive networks and also offer job training. Also at the Art and Wine Festival, which was another great chamber event, the concert in the park, which was hopping. And I also went to the library's presentation along with the League of Women Voters called What is DEI and Why is it Under Attack? That was a great program. Supervisor Chanel Scales-Preston was there to share her views, and she actually talked about the importance of diversity commissions and bringing diverse folks into city events. So that was great. Oh, and the BART gate opening, which Zach, you were also there. That was a great event. Very excited to see the new gates in BART. And I think I've exhausted my items now. Thank you.
Proves that we've all been pretty busy. I'll go first, and then we'll finish with Mayor Nowak. Actually, Mayor Nowak, I don't believe owns a dog, so therefore the de facto first dog, Millie, was escorted by me to the first Bark in the Park, which was a really great event. I look forward to hopefully that comes back when she's, my dog's a little more comfortable. She was very nervous, but anyway. The first summer concert was fantastic. It was very well attended. Enjoyed that. Also, like I said, Councilmember Sakach, I attended the Fairgate ribbon cutting and press conference. Mayor Nowak spoke as well as far as other various electeds, and then attended Art and Wine Festival at least one day. I was out there, and then finally I was honored to speak on the mayor's behalf at the Memorial Day Remembrance. It was pulled together. There was some unfortunate circumstances that almost got canceled. Several people, including my colleague, Councilmember Obolinski, were instrumental in getting that brought back. And so it was an important event that continued. So I was really happy about that. And also to finally walking with my colleagues, Council Members Law and Sakach at the Clayton Pride Parade. So lots of good stuff in the last few weeks. And I will now transition to the mayor of Pleasant Hill.
Oh, thank you. I've got a totally different list than all of you, because I spent 10 days on the East Coast. Half the time was spent with my 93-year-old dad, which was fantastic. And the other half of the time I was in Washington, DC, trying to straighten it out. But 4 days is not enough in Washington to straighten out what was going on there. But I was there representing MTC, trying to make sure that federal funds that come to Pleasant Hill and Contra Costa County and the Bay Area continue to flow over the next couple of years. They're looking at a 5-year surface transportation bill reauthorization, and so it was important we were out there to try to get those funds continued. Luckily, that group is one of the most bipartisan committees, so that was helpful to be there for that. I did happen to pick up COVID while I was there, so that was not good, but I'm clear as of today, so I'll be back to my usual self tomorrow. Before all that, I spoke to a senior retired men's group called SIR, which is, I think, there was about 100 men over 65 there. And I spoke on housing and transportation there for about 45 minutes. And they all stayed awake and were engaged, so I must have done an okay job. And then that evening, I proceeded to speak to Troop 405 on government, local government, and so on, and I kept their attention as well. So I felt pretty pleased by the end of that day. As everybody mentioned, there was a BART ribbon cutting for the new gates. All the gates in Contra Costa County are now done, which is great. And the rest, I think 36 are done now, and there was a total of, I believe, 50, and they will all be done by the end of the year, which will be great for the whole system, reducing fare evasion and reducing some of the gate hoppers that make security and cleanliness a little bit tougher. The only other thing I wanted to mention was the Federal Glover Memorial Service that took place. Federal Glover was county supervisor and sat on MTC and CCTA with me for several years. He passed away. He only retired 4 or 5 months ago. And so it was really sad to hear of his passing. There was a very large memorial for him this past week. And so I was honored to attend that service. So that's it for me. And I don't have any travel plans to DC for the next couple of months. So hopefully I'll get a chance to get to more of the Pleasant Hill activities.
Thank you, Mayor Nowak. And thank you to my colleagues who obviously have been spending a lot of time in our community. So thank you to all of you. Moving on to item 8 is public comment. The public is welcome at this time to address the City Council on items on the consent calendar or other items that are not listed on the agenda, but within the Council's jurisdiction. Comments are limited to 2 minutes per speaker. You may provide comments by giving a speaker card to Lyon at the dais, or pursuant to the provisions of Assembly Bill 2449, the public may participate in this meeting by going to www.zoom.us and click on Join and Meeting and entering the meeting ID, which is 878-1391-0175, and the passcode 809-604, all of which are on the City Council meeting agenda. Please use the raise hand feature to let staff know you wish to make a public comment. Madam Clerk, do you have speaker cards from anyone in the council chambers wishing to speak?
I have no speaker cards.
No speaker cards. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone waiting on Zoom to provide comments?
There's no public commenters on Zoom.
All right. Well, I guess I'm going to close public comment and let's move on to the consent calendar, which is an item 9. All matters listed under consent calendar are considered by the council to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate council discussion of these items unless requested by a council member prior to the time the council votes on the motion to adopt. And as we discussed earlier, one of the items, I believe it is 9.8, will be moved to the action calendar. And then I also wanted to ask our clerk Lyon there was also a clerical error in the minutes you wanted to clarify?
Yes, thank you, Vice Mayor Chess. So item 9.2, the minutes for the regular city council meeting of May 5th has a memo with an amendment correction to the last name of the public commenter from that meeting. The amended agenda is included into the archived agenda packet, and there are also copies at the public counter.
Okay, great. Thank you. So I would, at this point, I would have a motion to adopt the consent calendar. Is there a motion?
I'd like to pull item 9.4.
Okay. All right. We will go ahead and pull 9.4 then. So then I guess I will ask then if there is a motion for the consent calendars for items 9.1, 9.2, 9.3, 9.5, 9.6, 9.7, and 9.9. Those are the remaining items on the consent calendar.
So moved.
I will
Okay.
second.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Obolinski, a second from Councilmember Sakach. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Nowak.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, so I guess we will bring up item 9.4. So discussion here of the authorizing the city manager to execute a 3-year agreement for independent auditing services with Masia, Jenny, and O'Connell. We have a Finance Director Eric Chung up here to answer any questions.
Yes, thank you. So first of all, thank you for all the hard work you do keeping our financials in order. I understand there's unfinished projects that this auditor is working on, and the company's fee will remain the same, which is good reasons to keep the same firm. I also noticed, though, that we've had the same auditor since 2011. And I hope I understand this right, that we're meeting the auditor rotation requirements under AB 1345 by changing the principal who's in charge of the audit. But I'm wondering if at some point it might be worth it to go out for another RFP just to make sure we're getting the best rate and getting a fresh perspective.
Good evening to the mayor and to the council. Correct. So this time around, I think we're looking for some efficiencies with our current auditor as we switched over to a new system. We're still transitioning to that, or we're still transitioning to our business licensing system and permitting system, which has had its hiccups. And keeping that consistency with our current auditors made sense. They proposed basically a flat, no increase in fees for the current fiscal year that we're in now, and a 2% cost of living adjustment for the year 2 and year 3, which is very reasonable based on what cost of living adjustments have been throughout Bay Area. Correct. I think the next time around, we probably should go back out for an RFP to do auditing services again. The Assembly bill does require just a rotation of a partner. So every 5 years, you have to rotate partners on the engagement, assuming that the council approves the current amendment or contract. The current partner could still serve on his last year, and then it would rotate to the partner, Ben Lau, in the following year, and for the remaining and the second year.
Any other questions of?
Yeah, I have a quick
Eric?
question. So in these types of firms, how many of them are in California approximately? Is it a small number, or are there more than 50?
I mean, there probably are more than 50 auditing firms, but I wouldn't probably say there are 50 governmental auditing firms.
That's, yeah, and for this specific, like what we do.
Correct. I mean, there's probably, if off the top of my head, there would probably be about 5 to a dozen.
Okay.
That do governmental audits. For our size, I'll be honest, you start narrowing it down closer to the 6 range and less.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing any other questions here? Okay, seeing none. Oh, Sue, go ahead. Sue, did you have a?
No,
Mary, do you have a question?
no, I didn't have any questions. I was just going to make a motion to approve 9.4.
Okay, we have a motion from Mary Nowak to approve 9.4.
Did we have public comment?
Public comment? Oh, thank you. Okay, that's mistake 6. All right.
I am so sorry about that.
Thank you. City Attorney
I'm
Colson.
not going to let you do this again, Zach.
I know. Yeah, if I get under 10, yeah, it's A minus or maybe a C minus. Do we have any public comment on this matter?
There are no public comment cards and there are no public comments via Zoom.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, seeing no public comment, I can re-enter ask the mayor for that motion to approve 9.4.
So moved.
I will second the motion. I'm satisfied with the
Okay.
answer I received. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have a second from Councilmember Sakach. City Clerk, please the roll call.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Noack,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to put what was item 9.8 in the consent calendar. We're going to make that the new 10.1 for tonight. And that is to adopt the resolution declaring an emergency, authorizing the transfer of available pedestrian and bicycle program funds to the police department roof replacement project and authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract with State Roofing Incorporated. And we have Ann James, our Public Works Director, up here to answer any questions.
Pardon me. I'm sorry. I'm hearing that your mic is off from Larry.
Sorry about that. Eric's always so tidy. The police department roof is in need of repair. We knew it was in need of repair in 2018. We did a facilities audit of all the city structures, and the PD roof had about 2 years of life back at that time. So it was programmed as a project in the current fiscal year 24-29 capital improvement program. The roof was in somewhat good shape. It was only funded as a re-roof. We were going to put a second layer over the roof and get another 20 years out of it, kind of kick the can down the road, which is actually acceptable practice in the building code to do the re-roof. About early April, we got an alert from command staff at PD that they had observed termites in the building on the second floor in the investigations area. We hired a company called Wallace Termite to come and do an inspection for us. Yes, in fact, there were termites. As you know, it's a 24/7 building. It's not your average house. We cannot put a tent over it and send everybody home for a week while the termites, dissipate. We have to continue to function at our police department. Unfortunately, when we took the ceiling tiles down in the investigation areas and they did the spot treatment in just the investigation areas, Wallace Termite let us know that the termites had in fact migrated to the sheeting, the plywood sheeting, the bottom layer of the roof. In order to treat those termites, it requires us to actually completely remove the roof and put on a new roof. So while we do have the funding for the re-roof, we don't actually have the funding in this project budget to do the whole re-roofing. So the request tonight is first to declare the project an emergency. Once we've met with the chief building official, once termites dig in somewhere, every day counts. They're just continuing to, it's kind of picture Pac-Man, right? Like running through the building. So we need to eradicate the termites. So it's going to require us to remove the roof, remove the sheeting, replace it all, and then build the roof back. So when we look through our budget, we have Measure K local funds, right? We're limited in the funds we can use to do this project. Our capital improvements for our facilities are local funds, general funds, Measure K funds. That's how we fund these types of projects. So we do have available bike and ped funds for fiscal year 24-25 in the current CIP that we're asking you to consider to transfer over to that project so we can redo the roof. We did do our due diligence. We reached out to 4 different roofing companies to get the pricing that we needed. Unfortunately, 2 of them, and I'm sorry, I don't have my staff report in front of me, but it's San Francisco Roofing Company, and I think the other company was Pioneer Roofing. They're not even available till early September to come in. They wouldn't even quote us. We had another company, Allied Roofing, who was supposed to come and give us a price, and then he called and he said, "Oh, I'm a little busy. I won't be able to get there till next week." So by the time he would have given us a price, it was too late. State Roofing is a company that we've worked with consistently, doing repairs at City Hall and at PD and at PSC for the last 10 years. Because they have a good relationship with the city, they're available to basically squeeze us in, right? They're willing to honor their commitment to the city and squeeze us in. So they were actually the only company that would even give us a quote to do the work on the roof. And so that's where we're at. I should state, actually, it's the first time I've actually declared a project, asked you to declare a project an emergency. It does require a 4-5 vote from the city council per our ordinance. And we will be reporting back to you on the state of the emergency at every city council meeting until the work is finished.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any questions from our council? Councilmember Sakach.
Yeah, my question is, since the money is coming from the pedestrian and bike fund, what project or projects might be delayed or not implemented that in the bike and pedestrian plan?
So the money that's in the bike and ped plan right now is actually unencumbered bike and ped funds. When we put the CIP together last year, what the council approved was several different bike and ped projects that are funded from bike and ped program funds, but under a different project sheet. So currently we're working on, as you know, the CCB Harriet biking project, which we're going to be putting down about $400,000 of new bike and ped improvements. We're also working on the Contra Costa County Canal Trail at Taylor Boulevard, the study to extend the bike path there. We're right now working on the gap closure project between Civic Drive and Lucille. And we have the flashing beacon project that you're aware, we just got some grant funds for that. So we're out with the RFP to move that the flashing beacon project forward. So all of those projects are funded separately from the unencumbered funds. They're being worked on by staff now, and they won't be, nothing's getting pushed aside to do this. This is when we put the CIP together for 24-29, we had rollover money from the previous year because of the lack of staffing. We didn't put out all the projects we could have put out. So we moved those projects into this fiscal year now that we're up to we have the staffing. And when we financed the projects we just talked about, there was that balance of Measure K bike and ped funds. So we put them in the bike and ped program, but they're not encumbered yet. And it's unlikely I'm going to encumber those funds in the next 5 weeks before the fiscal year rolls over.
And just to follow up on that really quick, because they're not encumbered, it just makes that transfer easier as opposed to taking it from some other bucket someplace else or other CIP projects. Am I following that right?
Correct.
Okay.
Well, it's 2 things. We're limited in what we can use to do the roof. It has to be local funds.
Okay.
Like I couldn't move traffic mitigation funds or gas tax funds or those types of funds, but they're not encumbered to another project. I'm not taking anything away from an active project to fund this.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any other questions?
I just had one question about it's just really bugging me that we have the termites, but is there prevention? I mean, we all have homes, and I'm not saying, I'm sure you have the right answer, but is like the roofing material they're going to put on, can they put something on there that will not be tasty to termites so we don't have this happen again?
I don't think that product's available to us, but what we will start implementing is, I researched this a little bit, and every 2 to 4 years we'll be doing at all our buildings more thorough termite inspections to make sure that they don't get out in front of us.
That was the only thing that was bugging me.
But I'm bummed.
We're going to ignore Councilmember Obolinski and go to Councilmember Law.
I didn't have much of a question just because, you answered it earlier to Councilmember Shawkotts in regards to the additional funding for the bike and ped project. So it sounds like what we did was we moved those projects into the next fiscal year, which means we didn't actually stop on any projects. And the funding that we had available in the bike and ped program was really what was in excess because we didn't have enough staff to work on those projects in prior years. Is that correct?
Correct.
And then based on the information in the agenda, it showed that we have set aside of funding for the roofing of 300,000 for Measure K funds, but the cost of the construction now is about $507,780. And so we've also set aside 10% for contingency, which is about another 50,000 or so. Is that correct?
Yes.
And so with that being said, are there other projects that we have set aside in the CIP for the police department for the next fiscal year or so that we could have used towards allocating to this specific roofing infestation
So
or
We call-
termites, should I say?
capital projects at our facilities are funded typically by general fund. So Measure K is a local general fund. So like I mentioned earlier, we couldn't use traffic mitigation fees. We couldn't use gas tax fees. We can't use Measure J monies. So PD has other projects that are going on that are grant funded, but those grant funds would not apply to this type of capital project. So we could not transfer those grant funds over, no.
Because those grant funds are already basically allocated to that specific project already. Is that correct?
Correct. And the terms of the grant are very specific on how they could use them. And I doubt that the roof would qualify.
Right, because
Under
they're
the-
restricted to that
Correct.
specific scope for that project. Great.
Correct.
And so this is an emergency and this is something that needs to be taken care of at this point in time and it can't be done in phases.
Correct. Correct. And I should say that any money that's left will be transferred back to the bike and ped fund. Any money that we don't use fixing the roof will go back to the bike and ped fund.
Thank you for that.
Any other questions? Mayor Nowak, you have a question?
Nope, I am okay.
Okay. I had one and it just it's left me. Oh, yes. As you're reporting, you said you're reporting at each subsequent council meeting. How is that through the city manager or will you come up and provide something? I'm just curious how that.
I'm going to let the city attorney tell me how. that
Okay, the
gets
city
done.
attorney. Thank you.
You want, there's no prescribed way of doing it. It's just that we have to come back and give you an update on the status of this whenever you declare an emergency. Every meeting, we have to come and let you know what the status is.
Just to clarify, I had envisioned Ann providing that information, not as part of my comments, but separately as part of like a presentation, if you will, at the start of the meeting, just as an update.
Okay, great. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll open this up for public comment. Do we have any speaker cards?
There are no public comment cards. There are no public commenters on Zoom.
Okay, so I will close public comment. I will ask if my colleagues have any comments or I will entertain a motion.
I will make the motion that we approve emergency funding of the roof for the police station.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Sakach.
I will second that motion.
And Councilmember Obolinski will second that motion. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess.
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Noack,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Motion carries, by the way, unanimously. So we will look forward to the said reports. Okay, we will now move on to the new, I guess that would be the new 10.2, which is authorizing the city manager to execute for professional services with Contra Costa Health Services, Health, Housing, and Homeless Services Division to provide homeless outreach services through the county's Coordinated Outreach Referral and Engagement, otherwise known as CORE program. Already to the stage, because it took me so long to read that, is Police Captain, esteemed Pleasant Hill Police Department, Matt Christic.
Hey.
Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Mayor Nowak, City Council members, Matt Christic, Captain with our Pleasant Hill Police Department. Good evening. Thank you for your time this evening. I'm here to present a staff report requesting resolution to authorize our city manager to enter into another a one-year professional services contract with the Contra Costa County Division of Health, Housing, and Homeless Services, specifically the Coordinated Outreach, Referral, and Engagement Program, known as CORE. On May 5th, as you're aware, our CORE program leadership, specifically the Homeless Services Chief Jenny Robbins, as well as the CORE program director, Fedi El Hayek, they were able to come and present to you their annual report. And it was an outstanding presentation outlining their accomplishments over this past year. And for those members of the community that were not present, I would encourage you to go to our archives and take a look at that report. It's a nice and deep dive into the services that they've provided for our city. Now, tonight, I'd like to provide a brief background, as you've all sat through that already, but just to give an idea of how our police department is engaged in this partnership with CORE since 2017. As you're aware, the issue of homelessness continues to be a problem in Pleasant Hill, as well as surrounding communities and cities. And the Pleasant Hill Police Department continues to field a disproportionate amount of calls for service related to homelessness issues. In the police department, we devote a significant amount of time and energy and resources for these responding to these calls and addressing the problems. Again, back in 2017, to address the underlying causes and issues regarding homelessness, the City of Pleasant Hill and Martinez, we joined in a partnership with the CORE program to address the goal of problem solving these issues, getting people off the streets and into housing. Since that time, Pleasant Hill has continued this successful partnership with the CORE program. This resolution this evening is to continue this program to allow the city manager to enter into another annual agreement in the amount of $147,076. This is a $6,343 increase, approximately 4% increase over last year, which is the same as the increase from the year prior. I've confirmed with our city finance department that funding for this new contract was already included and improved in our biannual budget. And again, this is the part for the public that may not have been here on the 5th. I just want to give an idea why we enjoy our partnership with the CORE program, especially from the police department's standpoint. The CORE and its partners have a comprehensive and strategic plan in dealing with this specific complex issue. Combined with partnerships with local stakeholders, they deliver services that we at the police department were never historically able to do so. Some of those services are specifically focusing on the needs of the unhoused, facilitating resources to the homeless based on what the individual is experiencing, providing food, medical supplies, temporary shelter. They also distribute other supplies associated with basic living needs, such as blankets or warm clothing. The services rendered include assisting people that are suffering from mental health issues or substance abuse and addiction. And that specifically hits home with the police department because we know some of the core issues that we have dealt with over the years. And given the high prevalence of mental health challenges among our unhoused population, current law enforcement best practices emphasize the use of alternative resources for non-public safety related calls involving homelessness. And referring these cases to the CORE team, or A3, as our supervisor mentioned earlier, and clinicians, is rather than dispatching a police officer, it often leads to more effective outcomes and more efficient service delivery. In addition, the CORE team members and program managers provide business outreach in our community regarding the availability of CORE as well as the services they provide. And I'm pleased to report that our relationship with our CORE team, as well as the administrators, including Jenny and Fedi, it's outstanding. Highly responsive, mutual respect across the board, and we appreciate it. And speaking with Fedi, and this kind of touches home because he shared another personal success story with me last week. I want to share it with you guys because we're coming up on 4th of July. 4th of July reminds me of freedom, also reminds me of our armed services that help fight for our freedom. And here's a story that you guys may not have heard, and he provided this to me. So I'm just going to read this to you. The Pleasant Hill CORE team engaged an unhoused veteran in July of 2024 that had been experiencing homelessness for over 2 years. Struggling with behavioral health and limited support, they were often found on the city streets navigating daily challenges with resilience, but in need of compassionate service provider to believe in them. Through persistent engagement and building trust, the team learned about their history, needs, and aspirations, recognizing their desire for stability. They coordinated with housing agencies, behavioral health providers, and veteran support services. Over the following months, the team facilitated the application for a permanent supportive housing program tailored to veterans. They provided ongoing engagement, transportation to meetings and appointments, and assistance in obtaining all vital and supporting documents. Now, today, the veteran is transitioned into a stable and supportive living situation. They report feeling safer, more hopeful, and motivated to pursue personal and professional goals. And their journey underscores the power of outreach, patience, and collaboration. That's really what I have recognized CORE to be really proficient at, and is building those relationships through high frequency contact with members of our homeless community. Just in conclusion, with the adoption of this resolution, we'll continue this effective partnership. Again, in our opinion, it's vital that the department, it's vital that the police department and the community continue with this program. One of the limitations for police officers in problem solving at the surface level, it comes to the root cause of homelessness. And because of this, we're only able to address symptoms of the problem and not the cause of the problem. The Homeless Outreach Team, CORE, focuses on the root causes of homelessness and provides needed services and treatment with the ultimate goal of finding permanent solutions. So sorry if some of that was redundant. I apologize, as you all were here for the presentation, but I wanted to get that out. Again, our support for this program. And I thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your time tonight. And I'm here to answer any questions that I can.
Yeah, thank you for your report, Captain. Any questions from my colleagues on the dais? Oh, we have Mayor Nowak.
I have one question. How does CORE work with the anyone, anywhere, anytime group? The A3 group? Do we know?
Believe that the A3 services, and you saw as our as Supervisor Carlson pointed out, A3 is more of our mental health clinicians that will respond to the scene where there is not a police presence necessary due to a public safety concern. We as a police department use A3 specifically. Our police department uses them literally daily. And again, I'm glad that he brought up that program in his presentation. If our CORE team comes across somebody out in the field that is having a mental health crisis and it's beyond their capabilities, they realize that there is an intervention needed. It may be not that they have the ability to get a clinician out there. They can call us to the scene to stabilize, but they also have the opportunity to reach out to A3 through dispatch.
Okay. That's great. Thank you. I just, I think I mentioned this on May 5th, but I just wanted to reiterate. One of the things, I was on council when we first decided to do this. And I think a lot of our initial thought was, why aren't more getting off the street? And then many of us did a half-day ride along and understood the methodology much better, where they really are gaining the trust of these individuals to better learn how they can truly help them, rather than just pulling them off the street, trying to stick them in a shelter and then just having them return. Being able to get them their VA benefits, getting them specific help. And once they build that trust, they're able to really get that. And so I want to reiterate that, because so many of you are new to this CORE idea, that it has worked really well for a long time, really in cooperation with the police, but it is a trust building, relationship building, and then they can help. And I want to emphasize that process, so everybody understands how this works, and you don't get a call and the guys or the woman or the guy is off the street right away. It's a little different process, but I think in the long run, it works better than just getting somebody in a shelter and then them returning when they no longer want to be in the shelter. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor Nowak. Any questions? Councilmember Robolinski, start with you.
Yes. There's very few instances I get to make a comment, but I did want to make a comment since we're talking about CORE and the unhoused. On our side of town, I don't like to go districts. I mean, we're all here in Pleasant Hill, but where I live, we're disproportionately affected up and down Contra Costa Boulevard, throughout the trail. And this is something that continually comes up from residents and businesses that I wouldn't say they're fed up, but I'd say that it's an ongoing, it's getting larger. It's getting bigger. I mean, I was at the Memorial Day event and I saw several folks that were unhoused walking by that could have used assistance. Now I understand the message, right? But I just wanted to kind of make that statement from neighbors that have been engaging me consistently that they're seeing an uptick, and what they're worried about, concerned about most, especially like around the Dick's Sporting Goods area, coming off of the trail, is we're seeing folks that sometimes don't even have clothes on, that are in a crisis, that are in front of kids and screaming and going into stores, and the merchants are going, hey, we need some help with this. So I just wanted to kind of bring that up while we're having this discussion, that I really am going to keep an eye on how that is progressing. And I really need to hear from CORE and from PD and from staff how that's progressing, so that I can go back to those businesses and those activists within those neighborhoods and let them know where our progress is. Because out of all the issues that are brought to me in those neighborhoods, this is the number one issue. So I just wanted to use this as a forum to make that statement. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Captain Christic? Any other? Oh,
A question.
okay.
Yeah, I'm just curious, the 20 hours that they work in the week, what is their schedule?
As this is a part-time team, and it's we've always engaged a contract for a part-time team. We found that it actually works out really well for the size of our city. We have 20 hours a week. Quite frankly, our part-time team oftentimes will put in more than 20 hours a week. That is our contracted amount. The days of the week, again, as I mentioned, it's important, as Mayor Nowak mentioned, relationship building, incremental relationship building with these folks is how trust is built. And it's not built with a badge and a uniform. It's built with folks that have a different appearance, a different approach, communication style, and they're not coming from a position of authority. Monday through Friday is typically how we like to have this team come to the city. 4 hours a day is best. However, if we needed a specific day, we go off data analysis to find, okay, is there specific days of the week that has a higher number of calls for service? We can skip a day and have an 8-hour day, say on a Friday, if we're running into those problems. In fact, as we come into our warmer months, some of our calls for service go up related to our homeless population. And we are super fortunate with our police staffing right now to be able to return our community resource officer, Nick Filippini, back to his full-time role as our community resource officer. Now he works with the CORE team in identifying days of the week, times that we want to have the team deploy. Again, the county is super responsive to us and our needs. So those 20 hours can be really where we determine that we need them. But typically we're trying to go 5 days a week so that, in all those important high concentration areas, so that folks can depend on seeing those faces come around. And whether or not there's someone that will engage, that's to be determined. But that they're there in their recognized car and the recognized vest, recognized persons, first name basis, those are the people that they can actually help transition off the street, transition into drug treatment. So those 20 hours, they're precious, but we like to do a 5-day approach, typically in the morning or in the afternoon. But again, it depends on what our calls for service are dictating. And Nick Filippini watches that closely and communicates with them.
So it sounds like the hours are flexible.
Oh, yeah.
How is it going to affect the program that Martinez isn't continuing their contract with CORE?
That's unfortunate for, in my opinion, because I see all the benefits in our city. There's kind of a silver lining to that. And I'll tell you what, when we split a team, they have to leave to get up to Martinez, or to leave Martinez to get down to Pleasant Hill to fulfill those 4 hours. And if that part-time team that we're typically splitting are not having to run up to Martinez, if they're working on a project that they typically have to kick off, hand off to a supervisor or another team from another area of the county that may not handle a current problem that they're dealing with, they may be able to hang over and handle it themselves. So for our community, I only see it as a benefit, because I know sometimes that's been challenging where they're working on a case today, but they know that they're supposed to clock out because they have to get up north. Well, they don't have to worry about that right now. I mean, moving forward into the next fiscal.
That was my question as well. So, Councilmember Law?
Yeah, my question is a little bit along that lines, actually. So my question is, we have different jurisdictions within just Pleasant Hill. As you can see, we have county lines, and we also have Martinez, again, as mentioned earlier, that's right around the corner, which is our neighboring city. And we also have Concord right around the area. So the core team is part of the county. So if, in fact, let's just say there are situations where they see someone that is in need that is outside of the jurisdiction lines of Pleasant Hill, will they still approach them and provide services and do outreach because they're within our, realm of our sphere?
Certainly. And what I've noticed, not just in talking with Jenny Robbins and Fetty, but the core teams, countywide core teams, specifically designated for certain areas, but there's teams that will respond to our city after hours. Our team wraps up by 4:30. That's the end of the day. 8:30 to 4:30, those are the operating hours, but a lot of things happen after hours. So our team, if they saw somebody, say, Second Ave South on the other side of the street by the casino, they're still going to stop and contact that person. Just because they're outside of our jurisdiction, they're still in our area, they're still going to offer. And they certainly, from what I understand from talking with their management, that they teams hand off observed, problems all the time. So they do not avoid a contact based on a jurisdiction. And in fact, I know, and I'm not concerned about us losing time in Pleasant Hill, because that would be on a rare occasion. But their whole purpose is to help people and not be too hyper focused on whose side of the street is this. Yeah, but that's a great question. They do have a great support network and team, and the teams actually that come in. A lot of our after hours warming center placements are done by CORE after hours. I mean, it's outside of our contracted time, but they come into Pleasant Hill and they look for folks that need a warming shelter, need assistance getting in. So again, it's just really good teamwork over there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, see, any other questions? I'll
just
bring it up. Oh, yes, go ahead, Mayor Nowak.
I just wanted to make a comment, Andre, when you were talking about, people that are naked or screaming at people. I had the situation, I was driving down Contra Costa Boulevard, and there was a guy, a homeless guy, out in front of that cigarette store near the post office, and he had an axe in his hand. And I just called PD, and they'll send somebody out to address if somebody's yelling and screaming or having a real behavior issue. Call PD. I mean, they'll send somebody out, or Nick will then later on engage, whatever. But I don't think you have to always say, okay, I've just got to wait for CORE. If there's something that you're really worried about, or your neighbors are, they should just call PD.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah. And sadly, there's not enough beds. They will do, in this situation happened on a person I called, and there's not enough beds for mental issues. So if they're not a harm to themselves or others, they get released. And sometimes they return back to Pleasant Hill. And so it's an ongoing problem. The difficulty is there's not enough beds in mental facilities to accommodate everybody that really needs one. So, that's something that we, have to talk to the county about as well, and the state for that matter.
Okay, I'm opening up now for public comment.
There are no public comment cards and no commenters on Zoom.
Okay, I will close public comment. Thank you very much, Lyon. We've already had some comments as part of our question and answer session, but I want to ask if there are any other comments amongst the council members and mayor. Or if not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion
I
to
have no
adopt.
additional comments.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any other? Okay, I'll entertain a motion.
A motion to adopt resolution, I think it is now considered as 10.2, right? Is that correct?
Technically 10.3 now, but
10.3 now,
Yeah.
is it?
Yeah.
Janet?
or I'm sorry, 10.2. Sorry.
It's not that's not a resolution number. It's
mean,
just
sorry.
adopt a resolution to
Adopt-
identify.
Yeah.
Adopt a resolution to identify, it's 10.1 though, right? Is it still 10.1, Janet?
It is the language, the text that's there. You can just read that.
Yeah, authorizing the city manager to
Mhm.
execute an agreement for professional services with Contra Costa Health Services, Health, Housing, and Homeless Services Division to provide homeless outreach services through the county's coordinated outreach, referral, and engagement core program.
Okay, we have a motion from Councilmember Law,
I'll second.
second from Councilmember Sakach. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolensky,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Noack,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, we will now move on to what is now item 10.3, to adopt the resolution to identify fiscal year 2025, 2026 street resurfacing project for the expenditure of fiscal year 2025, 2026 funds of Senate Bill 1, the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. And back is our Public Works Director, Ann James.
Welcome back.
No, welcome back to you. Welcome back to you.
Okay, so this item before you is to authorize the fiscal year 25-26 SB1 funding. So just a quick overview of SB1. SB1 is the Road Repair and Accountability Act of 2017. It generates approximately $5 billion in revenue a year for cities, counties, and City of Pleasant Hill currently receives around $900,000 annually in SB1 funds. So obviously this is a tax. It's a gas excise tax. You can read the list: a diesel excise tax, a sales tax, is a transportation improvement fee, CPI adjustments. Overall, the city has received about $5.1 million in SB1 funds since its implementation in 2017. So there's a couple of rules that go along with the SB1 money. Cities and counties have to submit their annual project list and list of expenditures to the state every year. So the item before you right now is the city council approving the project that I've identified to use the SB1 funds for this year. That project list plus the reso has to be updated to the state website by July 1st. And then at the end of the year, we have to report on how we spent last year's money. And so those two things are a must. Another caveat is the project must be identified in the current capital improvement plan approved by our council. And then the last one is the project must be approved by the city council annually. So this is our current CIP. I just threw this up there so you could see that even though overall we've received approximately $5.1 million, over the next CIP, fiscal year 24-29, we're going to receive, or estimated to receive, about $4.4 million in SB1 funds to be used on our local roads. So here's some projects that we used SB1 funds for. Pleasant Hill Road, that's the section between Taylor and Gregory. I guess you'd say we're headed southbound there. We did a complete streets treatment with a recycled pavement project. The middle section is Paso Nagal from, right now you're about Alhambra at Topaz, but that's the section of Paso Nagal between Alhambra and Morello. And way over was the end of 2023, Chilpancingo from CCB to the city limits. I threw this up here because when I started here in 2006, green is good, red is bad. And so when I started here in 2006, that map was practically all red. At that time in 2006, we did very little residential paving. The only money we had for paving was gas tax funds and general funds, and we usually had about $700,000 a year. So even if we were to do a residential paving project at that time, it was potholes with a slurry seal. You know, we couldn't afford an overlay. We really couldn't afford any of the treatments that we're able to put down on our streets now. And so maybe you were getting 10 years out of that road, right? Before we would just rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. So if you look way over to the right, when SB1 went into effect in 2017, coincidentally at the same time we started to get Measure K funds for our residential paving, PCI stands for Pavement Condition Index. Our overall pavement condition index was 67, and that included arterials and collectors. Our residential paving condition index was probably about a 60. Now we've brought our whole street system up 5 points, which is really amazing in the last, since 2017, even taking into account COVID years where we really only paved one neighborhood. So I put this slideshow together just to show you, when I started here in 2006, we paved residential zone 23. So for residential purposes, we break our paving up into 24 residential zones. And we never just pave one residential street. We pave by neighborhood. So that PCI that I just talked about, we get our streets surveyed every 2 years by a grant from MTC. We take the roadway condition index and we get an average neighborhood index. And in Pleasant Hill, we pave worst first because it's a fact that the worse your street is, the faster it deteriorates, the more it costs to fix it. So we try to stay on top of our streets and our neighborhoods to keep them above the magic number of 60 to keep them in good shape. So when I started here in 2007, we paved that one residential zone. And then in 2008, we paved one more. And then we must have had some extra money in 2009 because we paved two. But again, I say paved loosely. We did a pothole repair with a slurry. And so you can see as we go through these slides, 2 years later, we did another neighborhood. And then we get to 2017 and SB1 money kicked in and a little bit of Measure K money kicked in. And now we're actually beefing up the amount of paving that we can do. And in 2019, we actually paved 5 neighborhoods. We were able, with all the funds we have, to pave 5. This was the COVID year. We just did 1 neighborhood. And then in 2023, we paved 3 more neighborhoods. So for fiscal year 24-25, which was last year, we identified residential zone 15 for our SB1 funds. And the project before you tonight is residential zone 18. And we're going to bundle those 2 residential neighborhoods in with 1 arterial collector to be named later for our fall paving project. And we anticipate going out to bid in August to pave these neighborhoods with these funds. I really always like looking at this map because it reminds me of just how far we've come with our residential paving. So this is just the overall. Green is good, yellow at risk, red is failed to very poor, right? So I just want to go back really quick to show you this. I have to go way back. So again, if you look at the current condition, this is fresh data from our survey this year. So we have more than 50% of our streets between a 70 to 100, at risk to fair 34%, poor 12%, and failed to very 4, we have now down to 3%, right? And that's a huge achievement with the SB1 funds and the Measure K funds, because again, when I started here in 2006, you know, that number was in the double digits. So that's the item before you tonight. I threw that picture up there because that's actually a fresh photo from last night, CCB's paving. That's the corner of CCB and Willow Pass. Yeah, I threw that up there for you. So, so that is the item before you tonight, requesting that you approve that neighborhood residential zone 17 for this year's SB1 funds.
Well, thank you, Ann. Appreciate your time and effort on all of that. Questions from the dais? We have Councilmember Law.
Yes, so thanks for putting this together and clarifying that SRZ 15 and RZ 18, that's residential zone 15, is actually up in the fall, and then residential zone, this is RZ 18 is up for us to kind of decide whether or not we want to approve it or not. But I have a question in regards to the resurfacing of the streets. So as part of SB1, does that include pedestrian pathways and any types of traffic studies that are included in that, or is it just resurfacing of streets?
You can use SB1 funds. I would say no to the traffic study. I don't think I could make that, but you can use it for things like storm drain, ADA upgrades, striping. It's for roadway, right? For roadway upgrades.
When we
The-
talk about roadway upgrades, when you're saying striping, are you talking about existing striping, or can we add striping for safety of pedestrian pathways? Because
You could extend that for bike and ped upgrades as well.
Okay, so I guess my question then is for RZ 18 right now, that's up for discussion. Have we thought about adding scope of work to that includes pedestrian pathways or safer streets in that respect with the SB1 funds as well?
So we're out to bid right now with a pothole project that we're going to be doing an overlay on 7 of our AC pathways that we own and maintain. That's already included in a current project that's out to bid. Is that the kind of pathway you're asking me about?
I guess my question is, when we're looking at resurfacing, and let's just not say specific zones, but in general, we look at the aerial view of the entire city. When we're resurfacing the streets, can we utilize SB1 funds to also add the scope of work to look at pedestrian pathways, safer streets, and making sure that, instead of conducting a traffic study, rolling out an RFP, are there ways to make it safer by adding more zebra stripes on the line, or zebra stripe pedestrian pathways? Existing pathways are unmarked pathways right now for pedestrian paths.
So when we
because I think the restriping happens after resurfacing, right?
But it's part of the project.
Yeah,
So when we have 3 funding sources right now for our street resurfacing program. It's regular gas, what I'm going to call regular gas tax, not SB1 funds. Then we have SB1 funds, and then we have Measure K funds. And so because we have to do annual reporting on the SB1 funds, when I report every year, I usually just say SB1 funds went first, right? Because it just makes the reporting easier than trying to bridge it over 2 years. So in the street resurfacing project, you could add in work. It might not necessarily come out of SB1 funds because you have 3 funding sources. But for the big caveat with SB1 funds, it has to already be included it has to be included in an approved CIP. So if we were to swing way left and say, I'm going to take this year's SB1 funds and put it on building a house over here, and that was not an approved project that the council approved in the CIP, it would not be eligible for SB1 funds.
So what I'm hearing is that we are discussing the SB1 funds for this particular zone, but there could be added scope of other additional funding if there was, for example, seeing in the location there is a need for safer streets in that location.
It would, I think that it would still be under the RFP process because we are going to write a spec and hire a contractor. That contractor is going to come out and build what we tell them to build. We would pay a premium to ask that contractor to hire someone to do a traffic study for us, where it's more fiscally responsible, I think, to do a traffic study and hire that person ourselves through the RFP process.
Yeah, I guess my question is like, if we are resurfacing the area and there's already painted pedestrian pathways and we are going to repaint them, but initially they weren't safe to begin with, or if there weren't marked paths, can we then add painting of the pathways, pedestrian pathways in that specific location?
When you say painted pathways, we're talking about like a crosswalk.
Like a crosswalk,
Okay.
yeah.
So I'm hoping that we're good enough in engineering that we would know before we bid the project that there was an unsafe crosswalk, and we would have identified that in the design before it went out, right? So that we would know going in, hey, contractor A, when you get to this location, we don't want just the 2 white lines anymore. We want, the ladder crosswalk or something else, right? To answer your question, yes, if there was appropriate funding like Measure K funding, which is a general fund, within a certain amount of money, we could do that. But street resurfacing funds, we're only allowed to spend more than 10% on outside items, outside of street resurfacing, unless we identified it in the award. Hey, city council, I'm going to be paving these 2 neighborhoods. And oh, by the way, I also am going to be doing this traffic study, and this is how I'm funding that, right? We would have to tell you that going into the award, because I'm limited in the amount of change order work that I can. And the other thing that we have to be careful about with that is changing the scope to such a degree that contractor B could say, oh my God, if I'd known you were doing that work, I could have bid on it and I would have had a better price, right? So there's a balance.
So this one is going to be folded into the existing contract and not an RFP then? You're asking for funding, I guess.
I'm sorry.
So for RZ 18, are you going to put this out to bid for another contractor?
So
Or
right
you-
now, what we're asking tonight, what the engineering division is asking tonight is for council to approve allocating fiscal year 25, 26 SB1 funds to help us resurface RZ 18. And then in August, I'm going to go out to a construction contract for one specification to do RZ 15, RZ 18, and I think one arterial and or collector. I haven't identified that one yet. And it'll be one construction package.
And so for the amount that you're requesting today, is that only for resurfacing and the striping hasn't been included in that then, I guess, in the account of the SB1
So
funds?
we are estimated to get about $900,000 in SB1 funds from the state this year.
Right.
We know that. They send us that. You know, this is what we think you're going to get based on projections. And then part of the process with the state is for me to, so the street resurfacing program is identified in our CIP. And now I have to pare it down a little bit more and tell the state, not only is this an approved project in the CIP, but these are the streets we identified we're going to use the SB1 money on.
Yeah.
We haven't told them what treatment it's going to be, and they don't circle back, right? They're not going to circle back to me and say, you know, how much was striping, how much was this? But I would have to prove that we spent that much money resurfacing that neighborhood.
Okay, so would we get a staff report then in regards to like what types of surfacing was done?
Yes.
Like, okay,
When we go to award, you'll see that whole staff report on what treatment we're doing, what it's going to look like.
I was just going to say, it sounds to me like the best way to kind of summarize this, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's like, if it's got to be in the CIP to be utilized under SB1.
Correct.
And if it's not, then you look at subsequent funding sources, whether that's Measure K or other thing,
Correct.
gas taxing.
Yes.
Okay, all right.
yes. Yeah, thank you for that. I was just trying to understand a little bit more because I looked up SB1 myself as well, in looking at how much funding that is provided through that bill because of the act itself on road repairs, because when a road is not repaired, it impacts almost like $700 per person that's driving through the vehicle, through the streets. So that's how much we're putting out as residents ourselves, as a driver or someone who's utilizing the street when there's potholes and degrading asphalt. So I think it's important that we do continue to do this type of work. I just also think about folding in other possibilities of just not resurfacing the street, but also looking at safer streets for our pedestrians and those who are walking across, aside from walking across the street, bike paths, things like that. And so that's the reason why I brought that up.
Yeah, so it is a federal law that anytime you put a resurfacing treatment on any street, you have to do ADA upgrades. You have to have ADA ramps. So we always incorporate ADA upgrades into the project. And we would also, all the existing striping on the street gets replaced as part of the project. But since the master bike and ped plan has been approved, we also fold all of those improvements using bike and ped money into the street resurfacing program. So it's really like 3 projects together. We do ADA, we do the street resurfacing, and we do the bike and ped improvements that were called for in the master bike and ped plan. So that all gets roped into one project.
A fine
But Ann,
slurry
you do-
sauce. Go
And
ahead,
you,
Mayor Nowak.
but when, sorry, I just wanted to clarify a point that I think is, so if there are other safety improvements that are done, they typically require a traffic study. It's not, we can't just say, hey, we're going to put this here, we're going to put that there. We have to do a traffic study to determine impacts of changing patterns, crosswalks, stop signs, and the like, right?
Yes, so on our residential, on our residential streets, it's a little easier than the collector's arterials because the impacts, but, for example, we walk through every neighborhood, and if there's a 35-mile-an-hour legend on the ground and there's a sign missing, we'll put the sign in, right? If there's a sign, but the legend's not on the ground, we'll add in the legend, right, to make all of that. But what we necessarily wouldn't be doing is, and I'm making this up, deciding, oh, hey, we should also put in some flashing beacons here without a little bit more legwork.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that. That seemed to be a question as well in there, so.
Yeah. Okay.
You question?
Well,
Yeah,
thank
go
you
ahead.
for that. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, this is going in a completely different direction, but I was just looking at the presentation of the PCI scores that you gave us earlier in the year. And I was just curious why R18, I don't know if what I have is not up to date, but I see that there's other residential districts with lower PCIs, like I think 19 is the lowest, for example, so.
We paved, well, I think you're looking at something, I apologize, and I don't mean to be disrespectful, but we
No.
paved residential zone 19 in 2021.
Okay.
But what I will tell you is.
I was looking at the slideshow from the.
What I will tell you is the one thing that will push a neighborhood out of our cycle of worst first is if a utility has let us know that they're coming in to do work. So part of our process in engineering is when we just identify the neighborhoods we're paving, all the utilities get a letter from the city saying, hey, we're going to be paving these neighborhoods. Let us know if you have a conflict, because once we pave and put that new treatment down, the city council imposes a 5-year moratorium, no cut moratorium on the street. So if you were to look at, and I'll give you a copy of this. If you were to look at the map, the most current map that I have, R4, R1, R3, R14, which is right in the middle of Gregory Gardens, they actually are lower than the 2 neighborhoods we have scheduled, but the sewer district is in there working right now. And so they have a project right now. They've let us know they're actually currently working right now, and they're not going to be finished until the end of next summer. So we have already notified all these residents. As soon as the water district's been in there for 2 years, now the sewer district's in there, and as soon as they're done, it doesn't matter if anyone in the city fell around them, they're up next because they waited their turn, and they know that. And we've been very open with them on that topic. But it's really utilities, because we're not going to spend that type of money to have a utility come in and cut the street right behind us. So we do that legwork to ask all the utilities, what do they have going on?
So approving this project wouldn't be pushing other projects down the road?
No,
Okay,
because we still have to wait for the sewer district to be done.
Okay, yeah, I would love to get an updated, of the map. Thank you.
It is on our website as well, honestly.
Okay.
But I'll give you this on the way out.
Okay. Well, I will make a note to look at that. Thank you.
Any other questions of Councilmember Obolinski with this quick question?
So this is all going to be consistent with from what I'm hearing, consistent with our general plan and the bike and ped plan that's already been established, right? Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, I'll ask Madam Clerk if we have any public comment.
There are no public comment cards and no public Zoom speakers.
Okay, I will close public comment. Do we have any comments from the council members and Mayor Nowak? Or I will entertain a motion.
I will move the item.
The item has been moved by Mayor Nowak.
Go ahead.
Oh, I think Councilmember Law,
Oh, when I read-
by 0.3 seconds,
Hi.
got the second. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess.
Yes.
Sakach,
Yes.
Nowak,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, you will stay here because it says invite Ann James to introduce the item. So that would be redundant to make you walk up there and then come back. Yes, so now is the new item 10.4. We adopt resolution approving intention to levy and collect assessments to provide for public hearing and notice in assessment districts number 20 for fiscal year 25 and 26. I guess we will probably present these together, I would imagine.
They are 2 separate items, but we could present them together, yes.
Present them together, but we will vote on them separately.
Correct. Okay, so I'm back.
I'm getting nods over there. We're been strong. A little shaky at the beginning, but I'm feeling pretty good.
So
Under 10.
Yeah, under 10. Okay.
All right, so
And
tonight,
please, thank you.
save the best for last. This is step 2 of the step 3 process to levy and collect assessments for our commercial landscape and lighting district in assessment district 20 and 22. So you may recall that earlier this year, you adopted a resolution directing our new engineer of work, Melanie from SCI Consulting Group, to prepare the annual report, the engineer's report for District 8020 and 8022. So this step requires the district engineer to provide the draft engineer's report. It's included in your packet tonight, and for the council to adopt a resolution of intention to levy and collect assessments and give notice of the July 7th public hearing on the levy. So the engineer's report provides the description of improvements to be made during the fiscal year, estimate of costs to fund the maintenance, a map of the boundaries and zones, and a levy of the assessments. So you may recall that last year we went out with a 218 vote for Assessment District 20 and 22 because most of the zones were either upside down or trending upside down. A big reason for that is they were put into place before Prop 218 and most of the zones do not have an escalator. So they've been the same assessment for the last 22 years. So in December, I came back to you. So we had zone 8020 zone 4 and zone 5B actually passed, and we instituted a 3-year creep up, right? Every year for 3 years it creeps up. But the other zones did not pass. I put together a presentation and brought it before you in December of last year. And the direction from council at that time was we're not spending any more money than the assessments that we have. So in this annual report that you're going to be looking at, we have no new projects that are going to be done in any of these assessment districts. So the bulk of the fees are water, electricity, and maintenance. So we keeping the lights on because, you know, any safety issue we're taking care of, we're doing maintenance, but there's no new projects. We're not funding any new projects, no new upgrades. It's just we're basically funding at the, I don't want to say the bare minimum, at the funds we have. So tonight you're being asked to adopt a resolution of intention to levy and collect assessments in the 2 districts for fiscal year 25-26, and you're giving notice of the July 7th public hearing. And I would like to introduce Melanie from SCI, and she is going to give you a little update, right?
Hi, thank you for having me here. And so Anne said it all, so I feel like she kind of, so a little dimmer on the shine here. But my name is Melanie Lee. I'm a consultant with SCI Consulting Group. As Anne said, this is part 2 of the assessment district process. What you have before you is a resolution that we're asking you to adopt. It's to levy the intention, it's the intention to levy and collect the assessments for fiscal year 25-26. It also sets the public hearing for July 7th. And we also provide a 10-day notice of public hearing in the newspaper at least 10 days prior to July 7th. With this resolution, we have the engineer's report. As Anne said, it is a draft engineer's report, or what we call is a preliminary engineer's report. So if there are any additional changes that need to be made, we can make those prior to the July 7th board meeting. But in there, it includes the zones, the rates, the anticipated budgets for 25-26. It includes the assessment district map, which shows the areas of zones, and a list of parcels with the rates that they're going to go out at. And we also have Joanna from BBK, who's also on through Zoom if you have any questions as well.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any questions? I see Mayor Nowak with finger up. So we'll go with Mayor Nowak.
Yeah, thanks. So are we providing any information to the districts about sort of reducing the services to bare minimum because the 218 votes didn't pass? I knew Ann would be back up.
So we actually, anytime I get a ASP Hill or any sort of additional extra services requests, they get a full, I have a standard email that we send out to them basically saying, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's happening. We've had many meetings with the downtown and other businesses in Zone 6 who are looking for Zone 6 and Zone 1 are the biggest areas that are requesting additional services. And I do believe there was a lady that addressed the council through email that we also sent a very strong email back to. So yes, short answer, yes.
Okay, great, thanks.
Any other questions on that? Okay. Shall we just go ahead and move on to Assessment District 22 then?
Sure. So Assessment District 22 is exactly the same as Assessment District 20, with the exception that it provides for 2 residential areas, Gallery Walk and Grayson Woods. And again, you'll see in the preliminary engineer's report, you'll see the rates that they are, each property will be assessed at. It also provides the subdivision maps and the listing of services that are provided.
Okay. Any questions about Assessment District 22? Okay. All right.
One
go ahead.
quick one, just about the two, sorry, it's late. I just noticed that in the report for the Assessment District 22, it says that the assessment rate can be increased by the consumer price index of 2.76% for a maximum amount of $359. And I didn't see that language in Assessment District 20, and I was wondering if we're already charging the maximum amount, or why that wasn't, why we're not raising that also due to the.
So in Assessment District 20, they do have several zones that will have the increases. As Ann mentioned, Zone 4, Zone 5B, they passed with Prop 218, so they're incremental changes. There's also Zone 6 that does have a CPI, and it's listed in the engineer's report. There's some parcels that have, they're based on linear square footage, and that one's at the max rate. I think it's $6.86. But for Assessment District 22, one of these zones there, it's going to stay at $187, I think at 50 cents. And that one is because there's enough money into the budget. But the other subdivision was increased to the max. Ironically, even with the 2.67, it takes it up to the max of $359.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions about Assessment Rate 22, Assessment District 22? Sorry. Okay, seeing none. Okay, then what we'll go ahead and do is I will ask Madam Clerk if there are any public comment regarding the item, which I guess technically would be 10.4 about Assessment District 20.
There are no, excuse me, there are no public comment cards and no public comments via Zoom.
Okay, thank you. All right, well, seeing there close public comment on that, do we have any comments on this? Or I will entertain a motion. This is item 10.4. This is for District 20.
You want to go?
Comments?
I will move for 10.4.
Okay, we have
20.
Thank you. We have a motion from Councilmember Obolinski.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Law. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess,
Yes.
Sockotch,
Yes.
Noack,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. And then now I'll go ahead and ask for, first, we already did questions. Public comment then on item 10.5.
There are no public comment cards and no public comments via Zoom.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Any comments from the council members or Mayor Noack? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I
So
move
moved.
that we.
Okay.
Okay. I don't have to read the whole thing.
Okay, we'll go
No.
so moved. We'll go for, first from Councilmember Sockotch, second by Mayor Noack. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Law,
Yes.
Obolinski,
Yes.
Chess.
Yes.
Sockotch,
Yes.
Noack,
Yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much for staying up late with us. We appreciate it. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move to item number 11, which for a lot of people might be their favorite item. And being that there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned to a regular city council meeting scheduled for Monday, June 16th. That's my final mistake. 2025. Thank you and good night.